It's the most incredible feeling to be here. This is live.
Live.
Wild Earth takes you on daily intimate experiences in nature live.
This is a very, very different adventure, charged with emotion.
Join expert guides as they search for Africa's most iconic animals.
How awesome is this? She's coming right past our vehicle. Take a closer look here.
Oh, careful. Oh, no.
Ask your host questions and have them answered in real time. Join us live every day on Wild Earth. This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon from and beyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. And what better way to start our afternoon than with a mother cheetah and her two youngsters resting in the shade of a big thicket. Nice full bellies, just taking in the cool breeze on this hot afternoon. What a way to start. Welcome to your very own live safari from the wilds of Africa. Once again, welcome to and beyond Phinda Private Game Reserve, where we're sitting with this mother cheetah and her two youngsters as they rest in the shade of a thicket. Full bellied from yesterday's kill, and just taking it easy for now. My name is Damon, and behind the camera this afternoon we've got Gert, and very excited this afternoon to be back and out here at and beyond Phinda. We obviously have managed to start the afternoon with this lovely female cheetah, and we're probably going to spend a bit of time with her just to see what she gets up to this afternoon. But in the meantime, just have a look to our left here what's going on. While these cheetah are resting in the shade of the tree, they've attracted a bit of an audience. Now, I apologize for the bar that's in the frame, but we can't really do too much about that based on how close the warthogs are to the vehicle. They've obviously been able to smell the cheetah, and they've come in to investigate to see what they're doing. Now, those warthogs being so big and their necks being so thick, they're not really a... Oh, they just got a fright. They must have just spotted the cheetah. Shame. Gave the cubs a fright. Look how they've sat bolt upright. I think Mom was keeping a careful eye on the warthogs advancing, and so she didn't get too much of a fright. But like I was saying, with those warthogs being quite big, robust animals, their necks being very thick, they're not really an animal that a cheetah would normally try to hunt, at least not an adult warthog. It wouldn't really be in too much danger from a female cheetah. I think they're just a bit more curious to come and see what these cheetah are doing. Might even be coming to investigate if there's any leftovers of a kill nearby, are these warthogs. Every now and then we'll nibble on a bit of carrion or go through the stomach contents of a carcass, especially during dry times. Or now with the lovely green growth, have a look behind the cheetah. I don't know if you can quite see just how green it is. There's shoots of green coming through all around the cheetah and off in the distance. So I don't think they'd be too interested in looking for a carcass now. But Gert and I are going to spend a bit of time with these cheetah this afternoon. Like I said, we'll see what they get up to.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Masai Mara of Kenya. We have wildebeest, a small herd of wildebeest who are grazing, and I don't know where they're heading because the rest of the herd moved off. My name is Tim, and behind camera we have Big James. Very interesting weather. We have about 26 degrees Celsius and about 81 degrees Fahrenheit. It's raining over in the background where you can see the forest cover. We're starting to receive some showers there. So this herd here has been here for the last 3 hours. So the big herd that was here yesterday moved off towards the escarpment. So some of these are resting and seems like they're a little bit confused. Now wildebeest can be attracted by rain, and because it's raining towards our left side, which is the eastern side of where we are, they're all facing that direction where the rain is coming from. I can hear some thunders there, and it's reckoned that wildebeest can sometimes be attracted by rain and thunderstorm, and actually can walk over 50 kilometers away because of the attraction of rain, thunderstorm, and that lightning. How they came to find out about that is a mystery, but I've seen these animals responding to rain. Sometimes you find that there's no wildebeest, there's nothing at all, and after the rains, you see them crowd this place. Truly, Mother Nature works in very different ways. Look at them, they're all switching off flies. Seems like they're all very well fed. They've consumed lots of this grass. Previously we had about a half meter of grass here. They're very much selective feeders as they wait to see how they're going to move about, whether they're going back to where the rain is or join other herds. I'm going to take you over to another live location.
Well, from one herd animal to a pack animal, and the perfect way to start our afternoon down here in Djuma Private Game Reserve in South Africa with, well, the Pungwe pack that's decided to grace us with their presence. We're having an absolute bumper few days here, which is absolutely amazing. My name is Tristan. On camera, I've got Theo this afternoon, and it's wonderful to have you all with us. Now, the Pungwe pack, as you can see, are sleepy. Everybody's having a bit of a nap. It's gotten very hot this afternoon. This morning was overcast, it was cool, and I imagine these dogs would have been spending a lot of the morning hunting. And now that it's hot, they've decided into the shade under some guarri trees to rest before the sort of sun starts to get a little bit lower. The good news, though, is if we're a little bit patient this afternoon, is I think we'll have them hunting, because all of the adults that I've seen so far have got quite small tummies. None of them look as though they had a big meal this morning, and so I'm hoping that they're going to take us on a hunt a little bit later. In terms of how many dogs are here, difficult to say at this stage. They're obviously just in a puppy pile, and so we've got all the puppies kind of off to the right-hand side here. They kind of group together, and then the adults are spread around under various different quarries, from close to us to further back. So I can't see how many members of the pack we currently have at the moment, but this pack is super, super interesting at the moment because there is a secondary female that apparently has 4 puppies, which is quite interesting for 2 reasons. One is generally when the denning season takes place here in South Africa, unlike in East Africa, it's quite restrictive in terms of the timings of when they have their little ones. So when a dog has puppies now, it's very late in the season. In fact, it's a little bit kind of past when they normally do. They normally kind of finish up in August. So to have October babies is quite unique. And second to that is that very seldom do you see, when you get big litters of puppies that are successful, does the alpha allow a secondary set to come into the pack. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that all plays out. The den is south of us, and so we'll see if they head in that direction this afternoon, but I'm sure we're in for a treat with these guys later on.
Well, Jumbo everyone, a very lovely afternoon, and I have a saddle beast stock for you guys. Looks like it's very busy hunting. This is our biggest and tallest stock. It can stand at almost 60 inches. That is almost 1-point-something meters. It's very, very tall. And the one to the right there looks like it's a female. And it looks like it's dead still, waiting for something to move in the water. Then it can stab it with its long, pointy beak. The one to the left there is a female. They pair for life. And this is their kind of habitat. They occur in places about 1,500 meters to 3,000 meters. My name is Isaac, and on camera I have Bungay. We're set out here in the plains at the marsh. We're trying to find you some lions and maybe anything else that is available. It looks very rainy. As you can hear, it's very, very windy, but the wind is fragmenting the rain and looks like it might just fly above us. That's what I'm hoping. But already, as you can see, it is a very stormy afternoon. Where I am, I'm still quite dry, but it's coming my way. This time of the year, we do get a very localized rain, and this is part of it in this month. It's a beautiful scenery I have here. Saddle bill stocks quite a distance away, and behind them I have some wildebeest and zebra, quite a big herd. Yeah, I wish we could get closer to this guy, but it's quite far and it's very impossible to see what he's doing, but he's not dead. Yeah, as you can see, he's hunting for something. That is the female. The female has got a yellow eye. That is how you differentiate between male and female. Size-wise, they're almost the same. And these guys feed on small fish, crustaceans, frogs, small snakes, worms, everything, that lives in that water. They'll feed on it. Dragonflies, they'll feed on everything. And looks like they're not breeding at the moment. They're very secretive, to find their nest is almost impossible. Look at that yellow eye. That is a female. Yeah, with the yellow eye, it's a female. This is a stock that occurs in places where there is swamps and waters. And so it is quite widespread from here almost to southern African countries. Well, I'm gonna move on, and while I do that, let's take you to another live safari vehicle.
Welcome back to Ambion Pinda. Have a look at this mother cheetah. She's just stood up and she's adjusted her position ever so slightly. She's walked away from her two cubs. And look where she's sitting now, everybody. She's sitting on the edge of that shade and looking north. Now, on our way in to this area, we were scanning underneath all the bushes in the shade in the heat of the day, trying to find these cheetah. And we noticed that there was a herd of impala in that direction. Now, they did apparently kill an impala yesterday and feed on it. But looking at the bellies of these three cheetah, they don't look especially full. And I think if an opportunity presents itself, this female cheetah might try to take it. And looking at her now, see how she's looking around, scanning around her, being very vigilant. In stark contrast to her two youngsters, who are just to the left of her, they look absolutely dead to the world. Have a look at that. See the one on the right and how it's a little bit smaller. See the head is a little bit more slender than the one on the left. So that one on the right being the little female cub and her brother on the left, who's now just rolled over and given shame and given her a fright. But see how twitchy they are. Remember with the warthogs also, there was that slight sound, and even now with that little sound of her brother rolling over, it gets her wide awake and ready to run just in case. Just gives you an idea of how nervous these cheetah are and how careful they have to be in this environment so full of bigger, more dangerous predators. Silly moist sock, you're asking if cheetahs purr like domestic cats? Yes, they do. And it's most often, I suppose, like with cats, when they are they're happy, when they're content. So, for example, if mom were to come and groom one of her two cubs, or if the cubs are grooming each other, or even if the cubs are grooming mom, you'd probably hear them making that same purring sound. And I mean, it's a much bigger cat than the average domestic cat, so imagine how much louder. It's a much domestic cat, so imagine how much louder.
Some good. Right, unfortunately we've had a technical difficulty, but you guys are back with us with our very sleepy dogs. We were chatting about leopards and numbers of leopards together and versus pack animals like this. And I'm just saying that we've been fortunate here that we've had a number of different leopards in the same sighting. It's one of the most amazing parts of being in the Sabi Sands is the multiple leopards, but their relationship with wild dogs is actually how we got onto leopards, is that the dogs out here it's kind of a love-hate relationship in some respects. They often do scavenge from leopards, so it's a big misconception with wild dogs that wild dogs don't scavenge, that they don't eat rotten meat. They do. They will chase a leopard off its kill and eat it quite regularly. But at the same time, obviously leopards are a threat, particularly to smaller dogs like the puppies, and so they've got to be a bit careful the way that they do it. And talking about the puppies here, it is unbelievable to see how big these little Pungwe puppies are. They've doubled in size since the last time I saw them, which is not that long ago. It's about a month ago. And they seem to have gotten so much bigger, and soon we'll start to see them actually participating in hunts. You know, generally it's kind of 8 months to a year that you start to see them actually chasing animals. But it's amazing to see the development of these little guys and how well this pack has done to keep these guys alive. They've traveled huge distances of late. So to give you an idea of where they denned probably about 3 kilometers from where we are right now to our north. And so what's that? Just about 2 miles to the north of where we are right now, inside the Manyeleti. From there, they've then traveled kind of south into Buffelshoek. Then they came into Djuma. From Djuma, they went further south to Chitwa, Cheetah Plains, into Mala Mala, where they spent a little bit of time. And then from there, all of a sudden, they did this massive detour down to an area called Rhino Walking Safaris. Now, that's probably from the original den site, I would reckon is close to 28 kilometers, 20, maybe 26, so 20 miles basically from where they originally denned, and they've come all the way back here again, and now all of a sudden there's another den. So it's been super fascinating watching these dogs and where they've gone and what they've done, and how they've moved. And I think what we're going to see is, because there's a member of the pack that is actually denning with confirmed puppies being seen, we're going to see this pack being more localized once again. They're not going to be moving as much as what they have been in the last month. I think we're going to see them sticking around the Djuma kind of area quite a lot. Like I say, the den isn't on our property, but it is to the south. Well, we'll be patient. Hopefully they're going to wake up and give us a chaotic sighting like dogs do. Meantime, we'll just sit here and wait.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to And Beyond Ngala on our afternoon safari. You can see here we are just relaxing at Clara Dam, which is our waterhole here on the eastern part of Ngala. So you'll be with myself, Sean, this afternoon, and we got Odison behind the camera. Very, very hot day today. You can see there blue skies, sun came out, cleared away all of the clouds, and it is cooking. They're probably about 28, 30 degrees. They're very, very hot. That's why we thought, let's come down to the waterhole, see what's happening, see who's around. We've got some impalas coming in from the left-hand side. Got some hippos, a couple of Egyptian geese. Everyone's just trying to get out of the heat. The impala's quite tentatively coming down. You can see the hippo there almost completely underwater. Just his eyes, his ears. Carry on looking around the waterhole. Also just getting an idea of what's happening. I don't know if you can see here now, as Odie zooms in, have a look at the impala and the water. You can see the water quite wavy. There is a bit of a breeze blowing, and that would make these impalas a little bit nervous. You watch them, they sort of look at the water, then they look to the left where the thickets are, the bushes, walk a little bit, look both ways, walk, look both ways. Because now they're very vulnerable. You know, in the water, there's no crocodiles at this waterhole. But, you know, maybe the impalas, they're just nervous anyway. And with the water being all rippled, crocodiles can sneak nice and close without disturbing the water because it's already disturbed. So a lot of the animals, impalas, zebras, giraffes, even elephants, will be a bit more hesitant coming down to drink. But the timing is also good for them, as in the impalas, in the fact that it is so hot that most of the other predators, things like your lions, your leopards, even the wild dogs that they're looking at Djuma, are sleeping. You know, it's too hot for those sorts of animals to be out hunting. So it's a good time for the prey species to sort of be vulnerable, to come down and get a drink. They're weighing up the options and they're like, it's always a bad time to drink, but this is the best of the bad time. So you can see one's drinking, one's watching, quick drink, head up, looking around. But it is actually quite peaceful. I think if Odie and I had an umbrella, maybe a gin and tonic, we would be in a winning position. There's some zebras. We're quite far off in the bush. Looks like they're slowly, very, very slowly going to make their way down here, but it could take a while. And they actually find, let's see if Odie can find them. They're quite well hidden. Oh, I think you might be on it. I'll keep going in there, Odie. You can see the zebras just barely there. You can see one, looks like there's two of them. They're possibly even fighting. But a very tough position. We'll stay here and just see what happens.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is blistering hot here at Tswalu Kalahari this afternoon. Our plans currently is to go look for some lions, see if we can find any of them lying around before they get active when it starts getting cooler. So we are following some tracks. They're not on the road currently, but they are heading in this direction that we are moving into. So we're hopeful that we might find a female with some cubs, or I saw there was a track for a female and a male walking together as well, so possibly a mating pair that's in the area. So hopefully it would be, well, ideal if we could find one of them by the waterhole or something like that and spend some time with them to see if they are going to get a little bit more active. By the way, guys, my name is Moritz, and behind the camera we've got David. So yeah, that's the team for Tswalu this afternoon. So yeah, as I said, it's nice and warm. I don't think the lions will be doing much at the moment, which gives us a perfect opportunity to find them, and then as soon as we have them, see if they don't want to get some action.
Here I have two of the Olololo boys. Look like, you know, they are ready for this rain. They are tucked into that long grass, and so they are on the leeward side. They are not getting very much wind. As you can see, there is very long grass here, so they're very protected, but they don't have a choice. They will have to get the rain when it comes, as I think it won't be long before we get it. These guys are about 3 years old, and it looks like they have been kicked out of the pride because they are too big, intimidating to the main male and also the lionesses. They are also eating as much as the lionesses. So look at that. Wow. Is he gonna get up? Yeah, they're intimidating to the main male, and also the females. They are, you know, stiffening competition, and so this is a stage where they are told bye-bye. You have to leave. They have a nice male coming, nice man coming. What's the decision? Are they gonna find a bush and get in and tuck themselves in? I'm not sure, but let's see. It looks like they haven't eaten in a couple of days. So they might be looking for a meal today. Exactly, that's what, the one to the right has done. It's gone to the bushes, it's tucked itself in. I think this other guy is going to do the same. They have been known to do that. I have seen them do that. They get into the bushes and hope the rain, it will pass quite quick, fast. They don't look thin, as you can see, their hind. They're really padded well. At this stage, they don't play with food. Every time they get something, they will eat it to accumulate a lot of fat that will actually take them until, there is something to eat next time, which actually they might not know when that time will be. So when there is a chance, they'll always eat and eat and eat, accumulate lots of fat. And so in lean times like right now, they can continue, surviving. Yeah, the rain has come. It's with us in the next few minutes. So I'm going to move on, find a spot where we can, close up and hope it passes quicker. But I'll be coming maybe to the lions later. Okay, let me take you to another safari vehicle in a different location.
Well, hello everybody and welcome to Pridelands, where we will be doing artistic shots of water this afternoon. Fantastic camera work by Sebastian. He's really, really thrilled to show off his skills this afternoon. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me, as I said, is Sebastian Rombi, and we are here at Pridelands, which is part of Tswalu Game Reserve. We don't have anything for you, unfortunately. We were just hoping that something would come down to the water. We've literally got water. So we're welcome to have a look at the... Oh, do you know what we can do, Sebastian? The other day we did grass blowing in the wind. We can do the waves that are created by the wind. Look at that. Let's see. It's lovely. Cue whale sounds and ocean noises. I'm just thinking that I'm at the beach and that I can smell the salt in the air, maybe even hear a seagull or something. Oh my goodness. Right, Theo, in terms of watering holes, there are a few, but we have two main ones at Pridelands. This one, Leopard Dam and Ndlovu Dam, which is at the Eco Training Camp. And those are the main ones. Then there is a small reservoir that gets water pumped into it, that sort of overflows and has formed a nice big mud wallow in farmhouse near HQ. And then the rest are kind of just natural pans that have sort of filled up over time. So there's quite a few of them. So there's so many at the moment. Literally, even there's big enough puddles in the road that the buffalo and things are wallowing in there. But yeah, there's lots of water everywhere, as I'm sure you have seen on Djuma, on Ngala, especially all the reserves in the Lowveld sort of area. But yeah, I think the plan is it's too hot to drive around in the sun, I'm afraid. So what Sebastian and I have decided to do is we're just going to sit here at Leopard Dam. We did have a really cool sighting earlier. Sorry we couldn't show it to you. It was of a rock monitor in a tree. That's not even the cool part, but there was a giraffe that was feeding right behind it. So that was quite interesting. It was actually really, really nice. But we'll just sit here and wait in the shade of the boerbean tree to see what other creatures come down to Leopard Dam.
Well, hopefully you'll be able to find something else, Taylor, that you'll be able to show. We've repositioned slightly because we were getting blitzed by the sun. Not that it's helped much. We're still getting blitzed by the sun, but we have at least a better view of the entire pack. So we have obviously all the pups to the left, a couple of adults behind them, and then the rest of the adults to the right-hand side. So in total, we have 6 adults, and then it looks like all 11 puppies are accounted for as well, which is good news. Some of the adults must have got a meal this morning, not all of them, but 1 or 2 of them do have a fuller tummy than others. but it definitely seems like it wasn't a huge meal, whatever it is. You can see the dog that is breathing very fast. That's the individual that I reckon has had probably the lion's share of whatever meal they did find this morning. A lot of the other dogs are looking far less full than these guys, but it's so cool to see them, and to be able to spend the whole afternoon with them is going to be so special. Dogs are obviously animals that cover huge amounts of ground very, very quickly, and so sightings of them often are quite fleeting, and you just get glimpses, particularly when it's early morning or late afternoon. But if you can find them when they're still resting, I always find it's such a great way to spend time with dogs, because not only do you get to see them kind of just taking it easy for a second, and you can kind of catch your breath in the excitement of seeing them, but then as they start to wake up, that greeting ceremony and that playing that starts to happen when the puppies start to wake up and they start to agitate the adults and everybody starts squeaking and there's all this commotion that takes place is one of my favorite things. And then to watch them hunting is obviously an absolutely chaotic event. It's just sheer madness, that's for sure. And I mean, a lot of people obviously think that the way they hunt is cruel, but they actually kill things faster than most other predators. Helen, talking about hunting, you're asking if they hunt every day. Pretty much they do, particularly in a pack like this, where you've got growing puppies and a lot of growing puppies. You're going to find that those little guys burn through the food pretty quickly. They have a very high metabolism due to the fact that they're incredibly active. You must understand, a lot of the time these guys are covering huge amounts of distance, which means they often in basically a deficit when it comes to food, and so when they do eat, they eat quickly and then it processes out quite fast. So you'll find dogs actually hunt most times twice a day. Very seldom that dogs won't hunt in the morning and the afternoon. Generally, if they don't hunt in the afternoon, it's because they've killed something really large in the morning. So maybe they got themselves quite a big kudu or a wildebeest calf or something like that. And all the dogs, when they're very full, then will not really make an attempt. But that's so seldom in an area like this. The dogs that we view are mostly going to be hunting scrub hare, steenbok, duiker, impalas, bushbuck, nyala. That's the kind of most sort of common prey species for these particular guys. So you'll find with them they burn that off pretty fast, and in a group of dogs like we see here, that's gonna disappear within the day, so they'll digest that. So these guys will definitely be hunting this afternoon. I'm almost sure of it. It's going to take a while though. It's still very warm at the moment. So I think you're going to find once that sun starts to dip and it just cools off a little bit, and you're going to get them going. And I'm hoping from where we are now is that they don't head west, because then they're going to cross into Arethusa side. So I'm hoping they're going to head more sort of in a southeasterly direction towards Quarantine, because Quarantine is such a great place to watch how wild dogs function in terms of the hunt. There's so many misconceptions about hunting dogs and the way that they do things, but when you see it in a big, open, vast expanse, you can actually get a really good idea of how the whole pack works in terms of hunting. So Lisa, dog packs, yes, there is not so much a matriarch, it's an alpha pair. So you've got an alpha male, alpha female, which will do the breeding, and they are going to be the ones that are kind of in charge of what goes on. But that alpha partnership is not set in stone, so there can be quite a lot of change in the alphas over the course of the next breeding season. So as we kind of finish up with these puppies, they grow, they become functioning members of the pack, and maybe they distribute and they become dispersal dogs, and then we start to get to the next time when they're mating. There can be then a challenge for those alphas again, and you can get a completely different set of alpha individuals. So it's not always that it's the same alpha throughout its lifespan. It doesn't just carry that. They do get challenged quite regularly. And so, but it is basically a lead female and a lead male that will take the pack around at a certain period of time. And then what happens is like I say, is when there's distribution, so let's say these 11 puppies all make it to adulthood and this pack starts to get bigger, but around them is lots of female dogs. You might find that some of the males from this pack will actually split off and they will go in search of those females in order to basically establish a new pack, so that they can potentially mate. And if it was the other way around, if there was males surrounding the pack, then we would find females will split out and they'll start to try and form a different pack from there. And so you'll kind of see an ebb and flow in dog numbers. It makes it an absolute nightmare for the researchers that study these animals, because naming the pack is pretty much a useless thing, because the packs change so much every year that you never really know who's who. I mean, some of these packs have got dogs from about 5 different groupings that form new packs all the time. So it's quite a fluid system. All right, well, we'll carry on sitting here. It's going to be a cool afternoon. So hopefully they'll get up to something. We just need to be patient.
Welcome back to Ambient Pinda, where our 3 cheetah are still taking it easy in the shade. I suppose a little bit like those wild dogs over there at Djuma. And I suppose a bit like those wild dogs, and how Tristan was telling you, how as it gets cooler in the day and a little bit later in the day, they might start getting up and moving around and starting to try and hunt. There is a possibility that this female cheetah might do the same. Now, even though she did eat yesterday, and a little bit different to the wild dogs, these cheetah don't necessarily need to eat every single day. They'll normally gorge themselves and then spend a few days, or maybe 2 or 3 days, resting, sleeping off their meal before they go and hunt again. Because her belly does not look super full, it might be that it was quite a small impala that she killed. It's not impossible that she might try to hunt again this evening. Just a few days ago, we were driving and managed to find this mother cheetah and her cubs. And we just got there as they were busy finishing off an Inyala that they had killed. And they were quite full-bellied from the Inyala. And 2 days later, we saw them again. And those tummies were almost completely empty. So maybe not quite as fast as a wild dog's metabolism, but it certainly does work pretty quickly as well. And that's why these cheetah have to spend so much time resting, to conserve energy. Because otherwise, if they moved around as much as a wild dog did, they'd also need to eat probably every day. But there we go. Mom looks like she's getting a bit restless again. Look at how she's just sat up. She doesn't look like she's lying in a very comfortable position. She almost looks like she's lying on a rock or something. I don't know if you saw that. How as she sat up, her neck was kind of quivering from side to side, as if she was trying to engage her core a bit. Might be that the wind has just picked up a little bit. I don't know if you can hear the wind blowing through the microphone and the camera, but it's just gotten a little bit stronger. It's blowing from over her towards us, and that may have been what triggered her to sit up a little bit. Just that extra strong gust of wind bringing new scents. And she's been looking over to the north in the direction of where her previous kill was. We've seen a few birds of prey diving down there. We just saw a white-backed vulture diving in that direction, and there's been a pair of yellow-billed kites that have been circling overhead. Both of these bird species being species that will feed quite frequently on carrion, and they are no doubt busy picking at the bones, whatever's left of that impala that she killed yesterday. And of course, it won't just be the birds of prey that will attract or will be attracted by that carcass. Could be other predators as well. MGN, you're asking which of the big cats sleep the least. MGN, from my observations and from what I've seen, it tends to be, well, in terms of going into deep sleep, it tends to be these cheetah, MGN. With things like lions and leopards being bigger and higher up in the food chain, certainly lions, you can watch them sleeping completely passed out, sound asleep for hours and hours and hours on end without lifting their heads, without batting an eyelid. And because they're so big, they've got that confidence that they can rest and feel safe. Leopard as well, also a bigger predator and high up in the food chain than these cheetah. And very often where leopards rest, MGN, they'll rest in places where they know they'll be secure. So in very dense thickets, where it'll be very hard for something to get to them, and where they'll hear that thing or that threat coming long before it gets close to them, or up in a tree, again, similar concept. But MGN, these cheetah, because they rely on their speed as their defense, they rely on being able to detect something early, basically being able to spot it from a distance away, and then having lots of open space to use to run away from the threat. They'll rest in open areas to make sure that they can do that. And to be able to use their speed to successfully escape a predator, they'll have to detect it early. And so very often when they sleep, it's only short little bouts where they'll close their eyes for a bit and then open their eyes and look around for a bit, close their eyes for a bit, open their eyes, look around for a bit. And even look at the mother now, how she's lying with her head up like that. And even if she does go into a sleep, she'll more than likely lie with her body flat on the ground, but her head crooked up at an angle, and maybe her eyes closed, like she's doing now. Look how she's slowly closing her eyes. And what that just enables her to do, MGN, is that instead of having to lift her head and look around if she smells something or hears something, all she's got to do is open her eyes. Now, the cubs, because they're still young and they've got mom here, they're sleeping a bit more soundly. They're lying with their heads flat on the ground. That kind of sleep, though, is sleep that mom won't be able to take very often or won't be able to get very often. Because of her being obviously responsible for looking after these little cubs, and also in her experience of knowing just how dangerous life can be out here for a cheetah.
From the mother cheetah with those cute looking cubs, we've come across 3 lionesses who look so much active. They look like they want to go out on a hunt. Look at that beautiful picture. Very nice background. You can see the wind is actually to their direction, actually blowing towards them. They've located some prey. That tells you they are ready to stalk, they're ready to hunt. And this is a good weather where they have an advantage, because game cannot smell them. They can only smell this rain. So these lions have about 80% chance to be successful. But sometimes you think that they're almost going to be successful, but then something happens. So let's see what they're hunting. But I can't really tell because where they're looking is actually covered. There's a thick cover, so I can't really tell. So they're most likely scanning for prey. There's lots of waterbucks where we've just passed through to come watch these lions here. You can tell that is the lead lioness. You can see how big she is, how determined she is, scanning over there. There's true senses that these other ones can just see and watch her and tell that it's about time to hunt. Bridget, thank you for your question. No, there's no male around here. We've seen a lot of dynamics in how males are walking through this Mara Triangle. So we've seen the Ololashe and the young male over at Olololo Pride going over to the River Pride. Owino, Blondie, which we saw him this morning. So there's no male present here. So it's starting to rain, so I'm sure these lions are going to be active just about now. It's good when you see them actually walking in the rain. This is a high time to carry on and maybe locate some prey. These are beautiful looking lionesses. They look very healthy. Seems like they've been doing a good job. I've seen them stalk about twice or thrice. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see them hunt, but later on I came to find them eating, which was very nice to see. Because most animals can smell this rain, so these lions have an advantage, because only that sometimes they can be deterred by the rain not to hunt. They'll always crouch over on one place and look for warmth. So I'm going to change position because of the rain and then come just a little bit Let me just turn my position. Just want to close this hood here and then change position. As I do that, let's send you over to another live location.
Well, we haven't changed position at all, and neither have the wild dogs for now. They're all still very stationary. And like I say, I will expect them to be stationary probably for at least the next hour and a half to an hour. They're not going to move too much. It really is warm in the sun, and given how much they run, they build up so much heat so quickly that it's for them to hunt now is really not worth their while at all. Often when you actually follow dogs, you'll find, particularly if it's been a hot day, after they've had a bit of a hunting kind of session, they find waterholes and they'll walk into the waterholes, and instead of trying to kind of cool down by panting, they actually lie in the water for a little bit, and that just cools that body down that much faster. So they're big exponents of that, and I wouldn't be surprised this afternoon if they do start to hunt that we see them actually doing a little bit of that later. Lots of puddles around at the moment for them to do so. But for now, every puppy has found itself a nice shady spot. They are being irritated quite heavily by flies. I was talking about it actually this morning with Tandi. She was also having a very similar problem. Her problem stemmed from the fact that she was so close to a big herd of buffalo that there's all these flies coming off of those buffalo and landing on her. But these guys have a big problem in that they have quite a scent to them. So it's easy for any sort of animal that relies on scent to find them. Firstly. Secondly, they have massive ears, and so those big ears are hugely sensitive, and flies irritate them much more so than a lot of other animals because they get into those ears, and you'll constantly see wild dog ears flipping and flapping and kind of trying to flick these flies out of there. You can imagine how irritating it must be when you've got big satellite ears and these flies going in there all the time. It must drive them absolutely crazy. What we're also going to start to notice, talking about insects, is that tick loads are going to start to go up on these particular animals. You're going to start to see, particularly around the ears, a lot more ticks, but luckily for them, they'll start to groom them off. As a pack, they'll do sort of cooperative grooming. The hearing, it's difficult to quantify it, but the hearing is incredibly good. So when you look at any animal, you can pretty much judge straight away what their most dominant sense is, so what they rely on mostly. And if you look in the case of a wild dog, its ears are that much larger than its eyes, its nose, so they're relying heavily on hearing. So their hearing is probably one of the best. I was with one of the researchers, and we were trying to collar a dog that was part of a pack that had gotten out, well, not gotten out, but it had distributed and gotten onto a farm and was causing a bit of trouble there. And we were talking about how far, these dogs pick these calls up, and through the process of trying to dart these dogs, there was a helicopter involved, and the dogs split. And these dogs were calling, and they were picking each other up from, which was probably easily about 5 kilometers, without any problems whatsoever, over the noise of a chopper. So I reckon that these guys can pick each other up. We were talking about it with the wind blowing in the right direction and the right environmental conditions, probably 10 kilometers, which is a very, very, very long way for wild dogs to hear each other. So a really good sense of hearing, and they need it. Being smaller animals that are lower to the ground, the moment the grass isn't very long, but come February, March, April, the grass will be over their heads. And so when they're moving, a lot of what they're actually picking up in terms of prey and predators of them is going to be through hearing. They're going to hear them, and they're going to be able to then kind of either chase or get away, depending on what the situation is. So it's an important asset for a wild dog, that's for sure. Now you'll notice that one of these dogs does actually have a collar on it. It's part of a big project that's taking place in the entire Kruger ecosystem. The project has been running for Well, the one guy that I know very well, he's been involved now for 12 years on the dogs in terms of just figuring out, they're trying to work out, obviously, numbers, distribution, what are the problems facing wild dogs, as well as to try and monitor den sites. It's all kinds of things that they're using these collars for. Now, most of the dogs that are occurring in the greater Kruger ecosystem, a lot of the percentage of the dogs is in the sort of central parts of the Kruger. So when I say central, I mean if you had to take a cross-section east-west, they run linear kind of up in a north-south direction, but they're not very close to boundaries. But there is quite a few packs that are starting to kind of push out on the western fringes particularly. And those dogs are some of the most important that are being collared at the moment, because they're giving a lot of insight as to how far distributing dogs are going, where they're heading, as well as it's to try and protect them from, human-wildlife conflicts. These guys don't respect a fence at all. A wild dog will fit through holes in fences that you didn't even think they could. It's amazing how small they can make their body. And so they get into farming areas, which you can imagine a pack of dogs in a farming area can cause a huge amount of problems. So those collars are really important in order to establish what's going on, as well as to try and compensate farmers and to stop any sort of negative responses to the dogs. But it's a full-time job, that's for sure. Okay, puppies, well, we'll carry on being patient. I'm sure we're starting to see a little bit of yawning and moving, so hopefully this afternoon they'll start to get going.
Well, we haven't had any animals. Sebastian, what's that? Oh my goodness. It's the Loch Ness Monster of a leopard dam. Oh, I should have drawn a face on it. We'll add that to the next segment. No, I'm just joking, everybody. We got bored and we got quite creative. I wonder if I can do something like that. There are some elephants, but they've done quite a sneaky thing, and they're hiding in the bushes right now, so it's going to be quite difficult to get them. There is one that's difficult. Sorry, it's all the way over there. So I don't know how our signal's going to hold up if I reverse and try and catch them, but there's a couple of elephant bulls just sort of moving in this direction. So I need to decide where's going to be the best position to sort of see them. This elephant is exceptionally camouflaged. It's somewhere in there. Hey, Seb, where is it? Where's that big maroon? I think to the left a bit more. There he is. Perfect. So this is one of the younger bulls that's just sneaking in. There's been a few older bulls on their way down, and they're all completely soaked already. So this is not their first swim for the day, or maybe they're going to have a drink now. We'll hopefully observe this in a minute or two. I'm just thinking, in terms of signal-wise, what do you think is going to be our best gamble? Seb, going this way around or the other way around?
Why don't we try just there?
Go there. Okay. We're going to try a little bit of maneuvering. Apologies in advance if something happens. But animals, of course, like to move. And I will now add my Loch Ness Monster. I'm going to draw a face on it, though, into one of my notebooks where I have a collection of things I've drawn and snuck onto the show for years and years. I think the first one I ever did was a chameleon. I don't know who was with me on that drive, but I tried to beat Brent in the chameleon competition where he used to try and find them all the time. And I didn't find one because I wasn't as skilled, so I just drew one. I still have it. Okay, now I've got all the sticky stuff all over my steering wheel. Some bumps here and there. That up later. Ah, there they are. They're splishing and splashing. I think there's 3 down there already. I'm sure there'll be more to follow. We'll just watch the tail end of this guy, and then we will make a big move around. But you can see it's quite nice this side of the dam, the southern side of the dam, with all the tamboti trees and boer beans, as they do have lots of leaves on them. And so they can stand and splash around in the water but still be in the shade. On the northern side of the dam, where Seb and I would have preferred to have sat, but unfortunately there was no shade whatsoever to prevent us from getting sunburnt. And I don't think Seb and I are in the mood to cover ourselves in mud. We have lathered up with sunscreen, but I don't know if it's really going to do the job today. But we will head around on that side. But you can see, look how wet they are. So they might have just found a little puddle as they were feeding through one of these beautiful big open, sort of semi-open areas, and splashed themselves. Oh, they're swimming now. Seb, we're going to have to go around. Okay, we're going to do it. We're going to risk it for the biscuit. And we're going to head around the corner, and hopefully the next time you see us, we'll have elephants in the water.
Our cheetah have all just sat up, everybody. See the one on the right, slightly bigger, with her ears facing backwards? That's Mom. And then to her left, it looks like the little female. Just like we were saying earlier, the slightly cooler temperatures of the later afternoon, as the sun starts to head towards the horizon, making it a bit more comfortable for these cheetah to move around. Now is the time when, if Mom is going to maybe think about trying to hunt again, or think about moving her youngsters for the evening, now is the time that she's going to do it. Have a look at that youngster at the back and how it's panting. Like I said, quite a heavy, or quite a hot afternoon, and this breeze helps to keep them cool. Let's see what this mother cheetah does now. It might be that she's just moving her resting spot again, or it might be that she's going to head in the direction of where we saw those impala a little bit earlier. They are just off to the left, but in the distance. Can't see them now because they're concealed behind some bushes, but if she spots them, it'll be very interesting to see what she does. See, look at that tummy. It's not completely empty, but it's certainly not as full as I would expect after eating an impala yesterday. Rosalind, you're asking how sharp a cheetah's teeth are. Rosalind, so her canine teeth, the ones that are in the front, those long pointy ones, those are the ones that she'll use for gripping. And there's some slightly sharp edges to the backs of them, and they'll be very sharp, Rosalind, sharp enough to cut through flesh or pierce flesh. But the really sharp teeth, Rosalind, are the ones in the back of her mouth, her molar teeth or her cheek teeth. And those teeth have got a very special edge to the front of them, on the top and on the bottom. And so when she chews, Rosalind, those top teeth and bottom teeth basically work against each other like a pair of scissors. And those teeth will be sharp enough to quickly and easily cut through hide and cut through flesh. And that's why, Rosalind, if you ever watch a big cat like a cheetah or a leopard or a lion, or even other carnivores like wild dogs, hyenas, if you watch them feeding, they often turn their heads sideways and then chew. And it's bringing those special teeth into play to allow them to cut through meat. So very, very, very sharp, Rosalind. Look how that female's now defecating. Oh, shame. Looks like she's struggling a little bit. Sorry for the graphic image, everybody. This is all part of nature. I suppose just lightening the load before she decides to get up and start moving. There's a bit of a look of focus on her face. I don't know if it's a stare into the distance accompanying her bowel movement, or if she's seen something. Hannah, you're asking if the cubs are of an age where they'll join in on the hunt. Hannah, yes, they are. So these cubs are going to be approaching, they're probably about 10 or 11 months old now. And Hannah, for the last couple of months, really, they would have been helping their mother. Maybe not so much with the actual chase, because they still haven't developed the muscles to allow them to run at the speeds that their mom is able to run at. But they'll certainly be able to lend their weight once mom has actually caught something. So if she's busy trying to overpower an impala or an nyala, then they will definitely lend their weight. And in the next few weeks, Hannah, it's going to be interesting to see, because kind of come November time, we should start to see impala lambs being born. And those are all going to be perfect size prey items for her youngsters to practice their actual killing bites on. And that's, of course, a very important part of these cheetahs growing up, is they're learning how to kill prey. Speaking of prey, now that she's walked through the bush there, she's following where her cubs have gone, and I can hear some impala's alarm calling in the distance, so I think the cubs have given the game away. There you go, Hannah, there's your answer. They might be of the age where they can help their mom to actually bring something down in terms of weighing it down, but they're definitely not yet old enough and wily enough to successfully stalk up close to their prey. They've given the game up. Those impalas are alarm calling. So I think Gert and I are going to try and catch up with them and see what they're up to, because it's whatever they're doing, it's causing chaos. There's birds flying out of the ground there, and there's impalas going nuts over there. So let's go see if we can try and find them.
Unfortunately, the elephants were way too swift for us, and they've already escaped to the water. They actually charged on out. These two here, these youngsters, I'm not very impressed with them this afternoon. You are rude. How dare you slap your trunk on the water and chase the Egyptian geese and their 5 little goslings. That is atrocious behavior. Not very nice. You can imagine Mom and Dad had an absolute heart attack, and I've never seen goslings swim so fast in my entire life, although they did surf a big wave, so that could have been exciting. But anyways, glistening from head to toe now after a quick dip in the water. But maybe they'll come back again and they'll feed a little bit and then come around. They had a drink or two, but just the trunk full here and there. They didn't really spend much time. But now that there is so much water around, they don't have to spend long periods at, these bigger dams. Like I was saying to you earlier, there's so many little wallows and puddles and things like that that have filled up now, that pretty much wherever they can go, they can find water without having to walk great distances. Well, at least in this area. So I'm sure they're quite happy about that. And it is going to be a very hot year. I think we're in for some exceptional temperatures. But I am happy that we've had early rain, or decent rain. Megan, this is literally what I do on safaris. I just look at elephants. I don't look at any other animals. And it may or may not be because I can't track and find them. I cannot confirm or deny. But elephants I seem to be able to locate. Thank goodness I'm that talented of a safari guide that I can track down the largest land mammal. It would be awkward. But no, I do. They're my favorite animals, so I love spending time with them. I do love spending time with breeding herds, though. This is, of course, not a breeding herd. These are just elephant bulls, just feeding with one another of varying ages. Although 3 of them seem to be similar age, and there's one bigger bull. This is not one of the older ones, but he's just got a nice set of tusks on him. So I do love watching them, and they're fascinating. It's one thing, you've really got to have your patience pants on when you're watching lions or leopards or even wild dogs sleep. But elephants are just interesting. They're always doing something. So I think that's why so many people enjoy them. And then, of course, the social interactions is just fascinating. But there they go. Probably going to stick in this drainage line. You can see how lush it is and how tall the grass is in comparison to everywhere else we've been driving. Alicia, well, we won't be seeing any baby elephants because these are the boys. So male elephants don't really play a role in parental care. That's typically left up to the mothers, especially these boys, because they're no longer with the breeding herds. Although you might see them with them every now and then, coming through and investigating to see if there's any females in estrus. Not that these lads would really be accepted or tolerated to mate with the females. There's much bigger bulls around. If Kumo or that half-tusked male or Gap, which is another big elephant, if they were around here and they saw these boys showing too much interest in the cows, they'd be in quite a bit of trouble. Hey, big boy. Are you going to come up and say hello? Hello? Hello. He's got beautiful orange eyes. So I can't duck, unfortunately, sorry. No, man, don't walk through the prickles. He's got long eyelashes and things like that, and thick skin. How cool was that rumble? Hello, boy. Just watching him. It's always good just to keep an eye on the elephants. When things go wrong in the bush, they tend to happen quite quickly. And, of course, you need to be very respectful of these animals and make sure that you give them way. But there's plenty of place for him to walk. Just almost did what Big Bull did. Or like to do, but he chickened out at the last second. And you're actually a little bit too scary. You could see how he gave me a side eye and he side-stepped me a bit. He wasn't as brave as he thought he was going to be. So we did was a breeding herd outside camp at Tswalu Dam, right at the beginning of the show. But they moved into a different area, so we couldn't get to them. We'll try and find them later. It was a small herd. I don't think I've actually seen them before. But no luck on our two favorite herds, Alicia Key's herd and then and Susan's herd. I don't know where they are. There's another female elephant that's collared, Masana. She has been around too. But mainly just the boys, hey? I think the girls have spread their wings and moved into other areas. Well, the bulls are just quite happy with the vegetation that they've got. But they're slowly going to disappear now. Unfortunately, there's no more roads that we can loop around on to get another view of them. Well, I think we might sit at Leopard Dam for a little bit longer. And then I think we will start our search for that lone lioness we saw on the sunrise safari. She shouldn't be too far away from here. I'd imagine she might loop back into this area. So we'll see if we can't find her sleeping under a shady tree. But those are the bottoms that you will now see disappearing. Tails swatting vigorously though. Plenty of insects around. There has really, really been a huge boom with all the arthropods.
There is indeed. It's quite interesting to see how there's been an uptick in the number of insects since the rains have come. I mean, it's obviously expected, but nice to see, the millipedes coming out and scorpions and various other creatures. The butterflies haven't quite emerged just yet. I'm hoping that we'll have a good year for butterflies. Generally, when we get good rains early on, the butterflies are pretty good. So I'm hoping it'll be a good year for them. But a lot of insects are around. The biting flies are certainly out in full force already. They're a common part of the summer, that's for sure. As you can see, though, our dogs are not out in full force at the moment. They're out cold in terms of sleeping. And none of them have really moved. I think they've all found themselves the best kind of spots. Every single one of them is in nice deep shade at the moment, and it's why they like to look for quarries. Quarry trees are probably one of the best for shade. Even in the winter months, they provide shade. And so generally, if you find dogs static, it's under a quarry tree. They seem to enjoy the kind of low-hanging branches, how they can get in underneath it, and they can kind of really sort of get in into some good shade and stay nice and cool. But it's such a treat to see them. You might see their heads all starting to pick up now. There's another vehicle that's just joining us at the moment, and so when that happens, you often see the heads pick up, and everybody just has a quick little look as who's this new one that's joining, and then back down they go. It's nice to have them on the property, that's for sure. We've been actually spoilt this year so far, or end of this year. This latter half of the year has been really good for our dogs. Last year was not as good as this. We went through quite a lean run with dogs in this particular area, and that's just the way it goes sometimes because of how big their territories can, well, not territory, their home ranges can be. If they den in an area far away from you, then for all the entire period that they're denning, you don't really see them. We've just been super lucky that the Pungwe pack has denned not too far from Djuma and ended up then from the den sites, as the puppies started to become more mobile, brought them south rather than north. And that's probably due to the fact that north of the Manuleti is where the open kind of breakaway pack is. So, they've come down more into this section, which has been perfect for us. It means we've spent a lot of time with these guys. Now, I was saying that this is a fair-sized pack of dogs. I mean, it's, there's a number of individuals here that are kind of taking it easy. But at the moment, the biggest pack in the Kruger area, which a lot of you often probably wonder about, is 41 dogs. So there's 25 adults and 16 puppies in that pack. And that is a monster grouping of wild dogs. Can you imagine 41 wild dogs coming over a hill as an impala? I think those impalas must just die of shock when they see that. So it'll be interesting to see if those dogs end up raising all of them and how quickly they split. As the pack gets bigger, I suspect trying to feed 41 dogs is going to be very, very difficult. As they start to need the same amount of food, finding food for them will be tough. I absolutely love, though, when dogs roll onto their back like that and their legs in the air. We saw it from Dundee this morning, but we've seen it from the dogs this afternoon as well. And he's now found the perfect little ottoman for his feet to rest. All right, well, we'll carry on watching and enjoying the antics of the dogs. Hopefully, like I say, we'll see a little bit more a bit later.
So, okay, guys. Finally, we found him. It does look like only the one male at the moment. However, there was tracks for that. This was the tracks for the male and the female that we followed. And the female's tracks look very fresh as well. So she might be lying. We're still sitting by a waterhole. So she might be lying here somewhere in the shade, and we're just not seeing her. And so they're hiding from the heat at the moment. But you could see that he's quite lazy. He's not even blinking at us. But very happy that we found him. Quite cool, this male. I like him a lot. I just haven't confirmed 100% that it is that dominant boy in the coalition. However, just looking at his face right now, it does look like it is him. So hopefully there's a lady around and she'll come and flirt with him soon. That would be great. But yeah, just happy to have found him. Using the shade of that camel thorn tree as a little umbrella to hide from the heat. He might have to move soon because, with the sun drawing further to the west, that shadow or that shade that he's using, you can just see his mouth and then the front paw starting to be in the sunlight again. So maybe in about, I want to say 5 to 10 minutes, he's going to get up and just move to the other spot. Manuela, you're absolutely right. He is a glorious specimen. Like I said, if I'm correct, and I'm pretty sure I am, this is the dominant boy in the coalition of 4 males, and he is just noticeably more impressive than the other 3 males. Even the way he looks at you is intimidating. But body-wise, huge individual, big black mane, and then his face just in general is like, I almost want to compare it to a giant pit bull, very strong muzzle on the mouth and so on. So a very impressive male lion. There you can see that muzzle now, huge. He's not as intimidating at the moment, more cute rather than intimidating when he's lying like that. But when he starts moving around and being all tough, everyone makes way. And yeah, these camel thorn trees at the moment are the perfect tree. Them and then the shepherd's trees where we had the cheetahs this morning are the perfect trees currently to lie underneath during the day. You'll see quite a thick canopy, so good shade. Also, you'll find the larger camel thorn trees growing close to water, so that's a double bonus. Being close to the water while you're sleeping in the shade, if you want to pop up for a drink quickly on a hot day, it's not too far away to walk. So, great spot for this male to just be chilling in while he waits for the temperatures to cool down, and then possibly, if there isn't a female here, guys, and he's just by himself, I'm pretty sure he'll continue patrolling his territory then. However, like I said, the tracks that we saw from that female that came into the waterhole with him, or slightly in front of him, was rather fresh, so I don't think she's too far away. You have to understand, on a day like today, this energy sapping heat. That's even more, I almost want to say, problematic for a lion, you know, with them never knowing when their next meal will be. When it's as hot as it is today, even just moving slightly, you know, minimal, is going to take a lot of energy out of them, with the heat being combined to the movement. And so unfortunately for us, they are very, very static on days like today.
As you can see, the dogs are up and engaging with one another, and it's so cool to watch. They're all chattering, well, they were chattering away, listen. So everybody's just starting to kind of have a bit of playtime. I don't know what triggered it. One of the adults got up and everybody then started to move a little bit, and they started to play and have a kind of bit of licking and grooming, and there was a bit of scent marking that took place, and that excited chatter is what comes from wild dogs. It's such a cool thing to hear. I think everybody's actually going to end up going back to sleep again. I think it was just a moment of chaos that erupted. I think puppies thought maybe there was a returning adult with food, and that's why they started to get quite excited. But once they realized that they going to the adults and licking the adults' faces and there's no regurgitation taking place, and what's interesting about dogs is, unlike hyenas, which will grab carcasses and take it to their offspring, these guys will actually swallow and they'll come back towards the pack, but they only regurgitate when the puppies start to lick the face. The licking of that facial area is what triggers the regurgitation to take place. And they'll then, you know, basically vomit up chunks of flesh, which the little ones will eat. And these guys at the moment are getting to the age now where that's going to be less and less likely. They're too big really to be getting vomited. So normally what happens now is that there'll be a kill that will take place. One of the adults will come and fetch them, and then they'll take them there and everybody kind of feeds together. These guys will be pretty much on carcasses now. Going forward, which is pretty cool, but it was momentary chaos. Just a sign of what's to come at some point this afternoon, which will be really, really cool. You can see the alpha female, she's at the back there. She's got her typical little toothy grin. So not on her left profile, but her right profile, when she turns, you can see her canine. So she's really easy to distinguish in this particular pack. She's a dead easy member. And that's how, you know, knowing that it's the Pungwe pack is pretty easy. As soon as you see her, you know that that's the case. There we go. There's a kind of teeth showing. It makes it quite menacing, doesn't it? You can imagine coming across that in the night, and just kind of with a side lighting of a light, just seeing those teeth and that kind of those eyes staring at you. Would probably petrify most kids. It's probably something we shouldn't tell children. They won't like wild dogs very much if we did that, that's for sure. But I think everybody's going to start to lie down. Maybe they realize it's just a little bit too hot still to actually get going. The adults all kind of moved around a bit and then straight back to the shade. So not sure if it is wake up time or if it's just a momentary bit of chaos. I see one adult that's still standing, so we'll just watch that one and see what it gets up to. Hopefully, this is the start of the afternoon and the excitement that these guys bring.
Okay, so we're back here. We managed to find our own little pack of wild dogs. A little bit less active than the one I think they had at Djuma, but still very, very cool. You can see now all of them lying in the shade. This is the same pack that we had earlier this morning, just the 6 of them. 6 adults from the open pack. You can see, look at them, lots of moving ears, twitching. There's probably a lot of flies around them. I'm sure if any of you have seen wild dogs before, you know they smell really, really bad. It's like a wet dog mixed with a hyena and a bit of mud sort of smell. So they probably attract quite a lot of flies. And that's why you're seeing a few tails swishing, You're seeing those ears constantly flicking. They've probably got flies going into their ears, trying to get a little bit of moisture. It's probably a little bit cooler inside there. And that's what we're noticing now. So these ones are actually a lot more active than they should be. And that is because to find them, myself and another ranger, Nicholas, and his tracker, Adam, had to track them. So we went off on foot and we were walking in. And as we were, maybe 10, maybe 15 meters away, the dogs saw us or heard us. And then they started growling and they got up and they sort of walked away or trotted away from us. But, they're not used to seeing people on foot. They're not used to seeing humans like that. They're not used to the smell of us separated from the vehicle. And so that's why they're a bit more alert than they would be now. They're constantly smelling, they're listening, they're looking around because they're not sure what they just saw. Now that we're in the vehicle, they've obviously relaxed quite a lot, and it's a lot easier for us to be like this, to be sort of this close to them and around them. But when they see people on foot, it is a bit of a nervous time for them. But they'll start relaxing now. You see a lot of them have put their heads down even since we've been sitting with them. Now they realize that threat, supposed threat that they saw, is most likely gone. They watched us as we backed away from them and found some cover and then disappeared back towards the cars. So they also moved off maybe 50, 60 meters from where we saw them. And now they're relaxing again in a very, very small patch of shade. Quite similar to the lions that we were watching yesterday. In that, just trying to find any patch of shade and then all just gather in it. I mean, there's not too many massive trees here for them. So they're just trying to cuddle as much as possible. Oh, there you can see the one standing up. We're going to wait to see if any activity happens.
So we're here. We've positioned. A lion have walked through the bushes into an open area. You can spot some impala. That's why you see that lioness is raising her head. There's impalas have been snorting, alarming other antelopes within this area, waterbucks, and some zebras that were around, and made them walk away from this land. You can see those are the two are looking over a different direction. See that lead lioness? She's actually scanning. You can tell these are up to something, and that is hunting. Slowly, quietly sniffing the air, trying to get some scent. That is how they also locate prey. By flapping and twisting their ears. And because it's cool and it's rained surrounding this area, or the circumference, just here it's not rain, but that is an advantage for them. Changing position to scan again. This is a good time for them to hunt because it's cool. The weather is to their advantage. Most prey cannot really smell them unless they see them. If they're on good wind, they'll be able to stalk and get closer to game. I can hear impalas going bizarre. Those impalas are snorting, giving an alarm call and warning other animals within their circumference. You can see that lioness to the middle there. She has an injury to her left shoulder. Viola, thank you so much for your question. I think within a radius of about 2 kilometers, they can be able to see their prey. They have very sharp eyes, and the reason why they prefer hunting at night is because it's reckoned that they can see 6 times better than us humans at night. So at this range, they can at least see about over 2 kilometers. So being the three of them, this is a good thing because they can coordinate a hunt and be able to isolate an animal if they're maybe in a herd and be able to bring it down. So 2 is better than 1, and of course now 3 is even much better. So they've been walking a lot because the last time I saw them, they were up by the Owino Pride area. So it seems like now they are back to their Pride area or Pride territory. Sometimes these lands overlap their territories depending on the movement of prey. A big yawn there. The problem is the impalas have alerted the other prey, so they have... Okay, yawning is sentimental. So... that wound is not very much affecting this lioness. I'm sure that looks like from a prey, maybe a buffalo or a horny animal, like maybe a wildebeest. But it looks very, very good. She looks in good condition, so I'm not worried at all. Being the apex predator, sometimes they can fall victim to these animals because most of them have horns, and in terms of defense, the only way prey will defend themselves is through fight or flight. So could be this lion was trying to attack one of the antelopes, and in that course got an injury as the prey was trying to evade or escape. So the other lioness, she's left and they're watching her. Actually, she's actually stopped to see if they will follow. So I'm going to stick around with these 3 lionesses and follow what they're going to be up to as I take you over to another live location.
These 3 cheetah have at last again found another patch of shade to lie down in. We followed the youngsters as they went to the site of where their carcass was from yesterday. Not much left. Like we said, the birds of prey, the vultures and the yellow-billed kites have basically picked it clean. They just went to go sniff around there and then went on to the next patch of shade. And see now how they're once again lying flat. Again, the cubs dead to the world, lying flat on their sides, fast asleep. Except for the odd little lift of their heads when the wind increases in speed like it just did there. Mom, though, see how she's busy grooming herself and how her head was up the whole time. Still quite vigilant, still looking around. She did have a look at those impala and the wildebeest that were busy alarm calling at the 2 youngsters who were carelessly kind of running around in the open. But she didn't appear to be too interested, so maybe there's enough food in that belly to still hold her over, at least for the evening, and possibly through tomorrow as well. Look at that little roll over. Yes, I love it when she do that. She tucks her legs up like that. And then just changes sides, as if she wants to just keep a lookout onto this side of the plain. Her daughter looking off to the left, and so she's looking off to the right. It's making sure that she maintains kind of a 360-degree awareness about herself. Keep an eye out for any danger. Very regal, very elegant how she's lying there in the shade. Look at that. And look at her belly and how it's still heaving up and down quite a bit. Not panting like her male cub was earlier. but still that kind of staggered, heavy breathing, an indication of how warm it is here this afternoon, and also possibly a result of that last bit of food that's still in her tummy. Still a bit of heat around her belly as her stomach digests the food. And that tail always flicking over her back, keeping flies at bay. We actually noticed just now as well, getting to see all of the cheetah actually up and moving around. They all seem to be moving fine, but that one young, or that young male, we had a close look at his back leg, and I don't know if it's something that maybe Matt showed you earlier today or yesterday, but a few days ago we noticed that he had a bit of a wound on the inside of one of his back legs. We can't see it now, so we're not going to try and show it to you. But if he does move, we will try and show it to you. There's a bit of a gash there that he's been licking. Nothing too serious. It's not affecting his movements. Possibly something we were discussing earlier about how cheetah cubs at this age will be starting to help their mother out in terms of trying to weigh animals down and bring them down once mom's actually caught them, trying to get more and more involved in the hunt. So it may be that he took a bit of a kick from a sharp hoof to his back leg, maybe even a small horn from a young impala ram or young Inyala ram that they brought down. And although it was quite red, and you could see that it was relatively, well, we know that it's not too fresh because we've seen it already a couple of days ago. Something on a human that would probably require stitches, but for him, it doesn't seem to be bugging him at all. Just shows how tough these animals are. Even cheetah, we go on about how they're so vulnerable to injury and to attack by bigger predators, but just shows how resilient they can be in terms of injuries like that. Oh, look at the young female. She suddenly spotted something. Look at how she's now wide awake. The little one on the right there, staring at us with those beautiful eyes. And as always, those of you who've been watching our live safaris from Ambion Pinda for the last few months, we often have spoken about how this young female seems to be the one that's always most interested in what's going on around her, the most vigilant, and the most excited often to go and stalk things and try to catch things and trying to get involved in hunts. Earlier we were watching her staring longingly at that herd of impala and trying to conceal herself behind the most ridiculously small spike thorn bush. And even now being super vigilant. And it's this kind of behavior that's going to stand her in good stead when she eventually leaves her mother. Her and her brother, hopefully they both make it to independence when they eventually get pushed away by mom. It'll be that kind of alertness and that kind of readiness to go and try and catch prey that will help them to be successful. And while she looks around, have a look at her brother on the left. He's still passed out. Butterfly, you're asking if cheetah hunt at night. Butterfly, it's not typical behavior. They tend to hunt more during the day or in the early hours of the morning or late hours of the afternoon. Just because in terms of their hunting strategy, Butterfly, I'm sure you've seen videos or maybe even on Wild Earth, and we've filmed it here at Ambion Pit a couple of times, is cheetah stalking and then chasing their prey. And because of how they hunt their prey most of the time, running at high speed, as opposed to like a lion or a leopard stalking up very close and then pouncing on their prey, hunting in the daylight tends to favor that kind of hunting style, because even if you've got good night vision, running around at high speed in the dark is a challenging thing and a potentially dangerous thing, because you could stand on a sharp stick or land, or if you put a foot wrong in amongst some rocks, you could break a leg or break an ankle or severely injure yourself. And so for that reason, and also of course there's that time of the day at night is when hyenas and leopards and lions are typically most active. So it's a time of day that doesn't really favor their hunting style, and a time of day when they're more likely to encounter competition for food. So for that reason, Butterfly, they don't tend to hunt very much at night, but there are places where they have been recorded hunting at night, like the Masai Mara. That's a place where cheetah have been seen hunting at night. We've seen it here a couple of times at and beyond Phinda, but it's typically more with, well, at least I've seen it more with the big males, big coalitions of big male cheetah that have hunted presumably in the very early hours of the morning while it's still dark, because we've got to them first thing in the morning and they've been eating something. And I suppose just two big males together maybe feel a bit more confident in terms of being able to avoid or maybe even try to intimidate competition for food. An often butterfly, in fact, with mother cheetah like this, especially when those cubs are much younger, we often find that they hunt at times of the day when other big predators are very, very inactive. Even a hot day like this, like today, you often find that mother cheetahs will hunt in the heat of the day, presumably just to try and avoid that competition with other more dangerous predators. But yeah, like I said, watching her behavior now, and she's already seen those impala, she doesn't seem like she's in any need of food desperately. But she still might move her cubs around a little bit, and it's always fun to watch young cheetah, especially if they've got full bellies and energy, and they'll often play with each other. So Gert and I are definitely going to spend some more time with them to see if they start to do that.
So I've got a similar situation to the cheetahs with Damien. And that it looks like these dogs have eaten. If you look at them quite carefully, you can see pretty full bellies. Their breathing is quite heavy, like they're taking very quick breath. Both due to the heat and just due to the fact that they are full. You know, it's trying to breathe nice and quickly, not put too much pressure on the stomach. And those 6 of these dogs, they catch an impala, that's a lot of food for them. It's a lot of food for them. So I think in this heat, the fact that they are full, they're not looking to hunt again today. They are just going to sleep. They are just going to rest there, probably spend the entire afternoon until about 8 or 9 o'clock. They might even sleep here. It's a fairly good space. They got good protection in terms of cover in case something like a lion or a hyena or a leopard comes past. The lions would be their biggest threat. So they might sleep here, or they might venture back towards a water hole, have a drink and there. But I don't think they're going to be too active. I think as we got here, their heads up, that was the most activity we're probably going to get for. And as I say that, he lifts up his head. Look at that. See that focus, his ears picking, but pointing in that one direction. He's listening. Could be he smelled something on the wind. Something just captured his attention very quickly. Looked up, looked around, didn't see anything, didn't hear anything more, no threat close by. Passed out again. I think what we might do is spend a little bit more time here, just 1 or 2 minutes, see if anything happens. We heard some elephants, but they were quite far away. But I think what we're going to do is most likely leave them, carry on, see what else we can find, maybe head towards the water hole, see if anything's coming down for a drink again. But beautiful to see. I mean, even like this, just you can see some of the white coming out. This pack is notoriously white. They got a lot of sort of white in their patterns as opposed to some of the other packs, which are quite a balance in terms of the colors. But as beautiful as they are, I think we shall be leaving them.
From the wild dogs, they're the most efficient hunters that we have. Our lions are also efficient, but out of 5 attempts, 2 or 1 is successful. Now these 3 lionesses are just crouching for some warmth because it's a little bit chilly, but I'm sure they might all decide to go on a hunt later. So nothing much has happened since we got here and saw these lionesses, but it's very, very evident that they must go for something. It's a little time to lay over, so they're lying on, but they take turns to scan around while still they rest. From the location of I saw them, they looked like they wanted to go after the water bucks. But then there were some zebras around there who really alerted the water bucks, walked through the forest, came out, got here, and the impala saw them, started snorting, and alerted the other antelopes that were around here. So that means they have to hang on here for a little while before they carry on. It's a beautiful evening, quiet, chilly. You can hear lots of birds chirping there. So they have to walk a long way because now that they've been seen by those impalas and waterbucks, they have to go all the way to the edge of the escarpment where there's lots of wildebeest and zebra walking towards the border. So I'm still going to stick around here and wait for them to move on as I take you over to another live location. They're looking so sleepy. But soon, just about now, or maybe 20 minutes from now, they'll start their move. And it's a long way from where I saw the last herds. So you never know, maybe there are some antelopes that are hiding in the bushes, because we find sometimes reedbucks, bushbucks hiding in the bushes. So as they're walking towards where they saw the big herds, they would try to flush out prey in those bushes. So if they are not successful here, they have to walk a long way. That's why about a week ago, I saw them by the Owino Pride territory. So it means that because of the movement of prey, these lions have to walk a long way, and sometimes they clash with other prides who dominate their respective pride area. So it's a tough life for lions, but then survival means that they have to be strong. They look so healthy, so I mean they've been successful in whatever they've been doing, the hunts, because of how they are, 3 in number, despite one having a wound. But I really don't think that is of a worry because they look so fit. She's scanning around to see if something is getting closer, and if not, they get back to sleep. See how they take turns to scan around and then get back to sleep. But they're not sound asleep. Their ears are super alert. You can see them flapping, so they're listening all over. We have our other. Sarah, thank you so much for your question. No, we don't have a different species of lions in Kenya. We have this Panthera leo that is dominant species here in Kenya. So we don't have another species of lion in Kenya. So Panthera leo is in Kenya. We don't have another one. Decided to lie on. So So it means that it's going to take a little bit of time before they decide to make a move. Unless something gets their attention, they'll be on the move. So whatever this lion gets, that means they have to share amongst themselves. You find that sometimes in a pride, lions will be dominant over kills, who comes first and who comes second. But these three sisters, because they'll never leave their natural pride, so they have to share because of how they're walking around, forming a tag team, which is what can make lions successful in whatever they do. Going to sit here and wait for these lions to be on the move as I take you over to another live location.
Well, there's not too much hunting going on here, but still lovely to see these three cheetah still resting, mom still being ever vigilant. Just because she's not hunting doesn't mean that we are not going to see action here. Like I said earlier, the cubs with their full bellies, they might decide that once the afternoon cools off a bit, that it's time to play. Mom might decide if something comes stumbling onto them, for example, have a look behind her. I don't know if you can see, we'll just zoom out a little bit so you guys can see the thicket that's just behind her. And in there could be things like, or any of the thicket-dwelling antelope, like grey duiker, could be resting in there. And if one of them were to stumble out into the open in the evening, upwind of the cheetah, there could be a chance for a hunt there. Yeah, just because they're sleeping doesn't mean that things might not happen. That reminds me of a story. A couple of years ago, I was one evening sitting with a mother cheetah and her three almost grown cubs. And they were all sleeping much like these three cheetah. And it looked for all intents and purposes like the cheetah were just going to sleep, but it was lovely to see them, and we were just admiring them in the light of the setting sun. And all of a sudden, one of the youngsters spotted a herd of impala on the far side of the clearing that they were lying in, and decided that it was going to go and try and have a go at catching these impala. Now, they were a little bit older than these cubs, but still not old enough to be able to bring their own prey down. And anyway, this cub started to stalk, and once it started to stalk, one of its siblings saw that it was stalking, and so it too started to stalk. And it was like a Mexican wave effect. All of them started to stalk eventually, all three siblings, all stalking towards these impala. And then the mother, who had been sleeping, woke up, saw what was happening, and watched their movements carefully, and you could almost hear her saying, "Oh, kids will be kids," or whatever, and rolled her eyes and watched them as they started to stalk towards these impala in what appeared to be a pretty futile attempt. They had a lot of open ground to cover, not much cover, but they carried on stalking. And about midway between them and the impala on the far side of the clearing, there was a big thicket that the cheetah would be able to get to use as cover, but they'd still have a lot of open ground to cover there afterwards. But as they got to that thicket, an impala appeared right around the corner of that thicket. And so suddenly we realized, oh my word, that impala's right there in front of those cheetah. And the mother cheetah saw that too. And she got up and then she started to join the hunt because she realized that there was an opportunity here. And so all four cheetah were now starting to stalk this impala. And they all went, or two went around the right and two went around the left. And by this stage, we'd all been sitting still. All the vehicles that were watching her had been sitting still, obviously not wanting to disturb the hunt. And suddenly, they all started to run. And it was the most incredible thing because they disappeared behind this bush that was maybe about 2 meters high. And suddenly we just saw an impala. It didn't quite clear the bush, but we saw its head above the bush. So that obviously the cheetah had all converged on it at once. and it had leapt straight up into the air, and its head appeared above the bush, and it was just the most insane thing. We just saw this impala basically flying like above the bush, and then it landed and it ran away, and the cheetah were all like looking around in different directions trying to figure out which way the impala had gone. And by now we'd all started like racing in the vehicles, obviously in low range, and trying to catch up to get to the action. And so we're all driving along like fast, and told the guests, hang on tight. And we're driving and the vehicle's bumping because we're driving off road, and we get there and the impala's gone off, and the cheetah all like looking around in confusion, like, I thought you were going to grab it, looking at each other. And then, but it was just the most incredible thing to get them, or to watch them running like that. And then to see that impala jumping. And I turned back for the first time after I'd said, to my guests, please hang on tight, we're going to try and catch up to them. And I turned back and everyone was smiling from ear to ear, cameras out, like taking photographs, except for the one guest sitting in the back right-hand seat of the vehicle. And he had this concerned look on his face, and he kept like looking over his shoulder behind the vehicle. And I said, what's wrong? Like, wasn't that awesome? And he said, yeah, it was awesome, but I dropped my cell phone, like where we started. So we had to go all the way back, very carefully looking through the grass, trying to find his cell phone. But we did in the end. I don't think either of us are in danger of losing our cell phones. But yeah, just goes to show you never know. And spending a bit of time with predators, especially when the afternoon is getting a bit cooler and the odds of them getting up and moving around a bit are good. You never know what might happen. So, look at, as I said, there's a warthog. Some warthogs that have come out into the open in front of us. I'm just going to crouch down so you can see them. Look at that. There's some warthogs. And the cheetah are watching them. Now those warthogs are downwind of the cheetah, so they should be able to smell them pretty shortly. The cheetah all watching. Look at how they're watching the warthogs lying flat. Now for these cheetah, they almost won't want these warthogs to know that they're here. They'll want to keep a low profile because of how feisty those warthogs are. If they so chose to, they could probably come and drive these cheetah away if they really wanted to. Look how Mom is lying flat. There's another warthog. There's 4 warthogs here. But it looks like they're heading in the opposite direction. There we go, trotting away. And the wind is blowing from the cheetah towards them. And look at how they haven't even lifted their... Look at that warthog stopping to look at the cheetah. He's obviously seen them. And seen us. And there he goes, running with his tail in the air. I was going to say, I mentioned that thicket behind the cheetah earlier. And often in those thickets, there are sometimes termite mounds that the trees are all growing around. And often in the sides of those termite mounds, there might be old aardvark burrows that could get used by things like these warthogs as shelter. And so often at this time of the evening, you'll find warthogs starting to move back into thickets looking for their burrows as the sun starts to go down. There he goes, still running and still stopping to look back at the cheetah just to make sure that they're not going to try anything. Sinak, you're asking if I've ever seen cheetah hunt warthog. Sinak, I have seen cheetah try, and I've once seen a mother cheetah with a warthog piglet kill. She'd caught a very small warthog. It was at the time of the year when the warthogs are just having their piglets, and Mom had managed to catch a small little warthog piglet that she and her cubs had fed on. But Sinak, in terms of hunting a big warthog, like I said earlier, because of how a cheetah kills its prey by strangling it, their jaws are often not big enough to get around a fully grown warthog's neck and then effectively strangle it. And like I was saying, those warthogs are very feisty animals, and they could very easily inflict a bad injury on a cheetah. So normally cheetah will leave them alone. The other time, apart from the aforementioned warthog piglet that I've seen killed, was we watched 2 big males trying their luck also with warthog piglets. But in this case, the tables got turned pretty badly on the cheetah. The mother came back with a vengeance, and it was 2 big males, and they had started to chase 2 big male cheetah. They started to chase little warthog piglets, and the mother heard the squeals of distress, and she came absolutely flying in without even a shred of hesitation, And this cheetah was watching her coming towards him as if he didn't quite believe that she was actually going to follow through with her charge. And the closer she got, the more he realized that she was being serious, until she got to maybe about 3 meters from him. And then he turned tail and ran for his life with this warthog grunting angrily behind him. So Sinak can go both ways with cheetah and warthog. Sometimes the cheetah, if they're able to catch a small piglet, they'll be able to kill it. But with a big adult, they'll normally try to avoid them. So the sun is, as I said, slowly starting to set. And so I think Gerrit and I are just going to spend a little bit more time with this cheetah just to see if we don't get any more interesting interactions either between themselves or maybe with other animals in the area.
So, okay guys, we did a quick loop to see where these female tracks go. And unfortunately they went, well, the tracks that we picked up of them went around the mountain and into an area where we couldn't follow the tracks any further. Unfortunately also, even if we did find them, the signal would have been blocked out by the mountain, so no point in doing that. But as you can see, he's now lying on his other side. Not too much in the mood for moving just yet, just the flies bothering him around the ears and then the paws and so on. But yeah, what I think we'll do is we're going to spend some time with him now, and then if he doesn't get up and start moving in the next, let's say 3-4 minutes, we'll do another loop around another waterhole and see if, these two lion tracks that we found, with the one being of this male, is not the only lions on Tswalu. So Arena just had a question. Okay. Will we see less animals on safari during a heat wave? Arena, yes. It's not like they disappear all of a sudden. They just tuck themselves into the thickest, most shady, cool spots that they can find. Things around here, funny enough, you'll find things like the steenbok and so on actually going into warthog and porcupine burrows to escape the heat. Leopard will also do that. Hyenas, brown hyenas, those types of things will also duck into the burrows like that. But yes, typically, even if we don't see less animals, we definitely see them being less active or less entertaining. They don't really do much, regardless of the species. During a really hot, like a heat wave, our temperatures can soar up to as high as 48, 50 degrees Celsius. And believe me, then no one wants to do anything. So I want to say yes, we do see a lower quantity of animals, but also the quality of the animal viewing that we see at that time is very static, not a lot of activity. This guy is now paying close attention to something coming up behind us. I also think it's time for him to move into a more shady spot, so I suppose that's probably why he is laying up. He might, get the energy to move 2 feet. Luckily, there's a little bit of a cloud cover every now and again, that just gives us a little bit of shade, which is quite welcome, believe me. But for him, he'll still have to, when the cloud is not blocking out the sun, he needs to be in the shade, not right now. So I'm pretty sure he's going to, not too long from now, just move, maybe 3 meters to his left to be in a bit more of a shady spot. And yeah, guys, this is that big dominant boy. Now you can see that face properly. Stunning individual. Daydreaming a little bit. And that's such an iconic way for a lion. Yeah, no, that's what I wanted to say now as well, guys. It's such an iconic way for a male lion to be posing at the moment. You know, the paws stretched out in front of him, him staring into the distance. It's just like the perfect image. Oh, beautiful. I wonder what he's thinking about. I heard another vehicle driving past the waterhole now. I wonder if he's not just interested in what they're doing, checking to see where they're going. Come on, boy, get up. Constantly listening. You can see how he's pulling those ears backwards and forwards and so on. And now, guys, you can also see where they're putting his head away like that. Have a look at how the mane covers everything from here by his jawbone to the, the entire neck down to the chest area, covering up, making like a bulletproof vest where all of those major arteries or blood vessels are running, just to protect themselves for when they're fighting. I mean, obviously the mane is also a very impressive thing, visual communication, to show the ladies how dominant they are and to show the other males how dominant they are. But also, when they do get into a fight, that longer hair definitely does help them to have a bit of a cushioning against claws and teeth so that they can continue in a fight for longer. There's just something about a lion's eyes. I love them. Beautiful. That the best is when they look at you, when they stare straight into your soul. Something like that. Oh, and he knows he's beautiful. Giving us a proper pose. So we just had a comment from Kimberly. Every scar has a story, absolutely, Kimberly, and this one has quite a few scars. Some of them has healed up quite nicely, but here on the bridge of his nose, there's quite a couple prominent scars from, and it's not only fights with other males, it's also when they're mating or when they're taking over a pride. The females are not always that impressed with them in the beginning. They're going to reject them for a bit until they realize, no, you know what, these boys are the new kings in town. But until that time comes, you'll quite often find the females, being rather aggressive towards the males. I'm just very happy that he's lying up now, not looking like a log anymore. Beautiful. think he might have changed my plans. I'm not going to go anywhere now with him laying up like this. If he drops back down again, yes, maybe, then I might go and see if we can see something else. But if he looks like he's going to be active soon, even if it is just drinking water, that would be great. Having a difficult time staying awake though. Now that he pulled his tail around to the one side, guys, you can, if he flicks it up and down again, you'll see again what I told you yesterday morning as well when we had him, missing that tip of the tail, you know, that little black ball. He still has a little bit of black on it, but that tuft of hair is gone. So they very easy to identify him just by looking at his tail. However, if you can't see his tail, then we look at the face.
So from the big lion to a lioness who seems like they want to make a move. So the rest of the lioness took off, but came back to fetch this other one, the one to the right. Seems like they cannot live without her, because she looks big, she looks experienced, and when lions are hunting, they need the extra strength of the experienced lioness because of their expertise in taking down any prey. They know which prey to go for, they know how to isolate, and these younger ones always follow and watch and gain the experience by learning on these encounters when they're facing an animal to take down. They've changed position because those impalas are still going on. It's nothing, they've not left because these lions are still here. They seem quite alert. Could be something went through the bushes and that's what they can see. Also hope that it's going to be before dusk that these lions will make a move. It would be nice to see them stalking, nice to see them chasing something, because they also need to eat. Priscilla, thank you for your question. With the exact size, I don't know how much the territory is, but in my opinion, I think it's about 20 kilometers square. I think it's 20 kilometers square. They're not as many in this pride, so they not cover that much. But because I've seen them overlapping other territories, so I might come to that conclusion to about 20 kilometers square. Kellan, thank you so much. Very nice of you, 11-year-old, to ask a good question like that. The best scent is sight and smell. They have very sharp sense of smell, but also their sight, the vision is very good. So I'll go with the vision first. Remember to ask us questions and comments at Wild Earth, #WildEarth. The YouTube comment section at FC. For our young viewers, kids question at wildearth.tv. Slowly the light is getting down, and this lion needs to be on the move because I think it's far where they last located the big herds of wildebeest and zebra. Or maybe they might choose an alternative. So just be patient, because also lions, when they're hunting, they have to be patient. I've seen lions waiting for the entire day. So I'm going to sit here, wait for these lions for their next move as I take you over to another live location.
Well, it's been a very cold and rainy afternoon on the side that I am in, but I'm very happy to have come across this beautiful small herd of elephants with some very young ones that have just left the forest and heading out into the plains. This is the only type of elephant we have here in the Masai Mara, African elephant, and it is a nice small herd led by a matriarch. I cannot tell who she is at the moment because they're all mixed up in between bushes and open grassland, but maybe in a few minutes I'll be able to notice who she is. Usually she's got character, that is, she's very relaxed here in the Mara. She's actually sometimes very big. She could be old, her tusk could be longer. Those are signs of a matriarch. Looks like this little guy is making patrol. She's patrolling, taking trips from one of family members to the other. At the moment, I don't think she is feeding, too young. So most of her time is spent just running around and playing, and actually sometimes, trying to suckle and playing with the trunk. At this age, they're only suckling. Before starting to eat, they'll continue drinking, and then you can see it's going underneath its mom, so it's quite young, less than 6 months. If you look closer, we're not that close, but I can see it's a bit hairy. Usually it's normal for when they're very, very young, maybe about a month. It's not drinking, but it's sheltering. It's still drizzling a little bit, and I think she is trying to get, dry as much as possible. You can see that. And mom maybe wants her to drink, but she didn't notice that. When she puts that leg, a little bit ahead, means that she's opening for the gap for the little guy to drink. Before starting to eat, she will feed on her mother's droppings. Yeah, it might sound like it's yucky, but she needs to obtain some microorganisms that will help her, obtain and be able to digest her own food when she eats, and so she has to get it from her mom. You can tell right now she's using the trunk only to smell. Later on, it will be used to pick up food. It will be used to pick up water. So it's going to come in very, very handy, and she needs it. I'm going to stay here. Let's take you to another safari vehicle.
Oh, how unfortunate. We had 2 southern red-billed hornbills dust bathing, which was quite epic to see, but no, we don't have the greatest view of them, I'm afraid. We've got this one that is hunting at the moment, trying to look for some insects. Sorry if you can't see it very well. Well, it is hidden in the grass. The thing about birds is that you have to be quick. They don't like to hang around too much, but luckily this one is now jumping out a little bit. What are you looking for? There's so many insects around. I bet the birds are all super happy that it is a little bit easier to, to find find things to eat. Look at them. I love the way that they move their heads and they twist them around. They have got exceptional eyesight. They're also one of the few species of birds that are able to see the tips of their beak. Funny enough, not many birds can see the ends of their beaks, and they're so accurate with them. I'm sure you all know this by now. And they grab hold of an insect and they toss it up into the air. And I have never, ever seen a hornbill miss its meal once it's thrown it up into the air. So, not to say that it doesn't happen, I haven't seen it before. I wonder if the other safari guides out on drive this afternoon have ever seen it. Perhaps they can also comment and give you their thoughts. And here's something else that I wanted to pose to all of you, because I recently went out with the Southern Ground Hornbill Research Project, and it was so fascinating. And they told me something that I can't believe I never noticed after all these years. Has anybody ever seen any hornbill species drinking water? Because I haven't. Have you, Seb? Hey? Never, hey? And that's because they don't need to drink water. They get all the moisture that they need from the insects that they eat. And I thought that was so fascinating, and I couldn't believe it. Anyways, fun little fact as the birds are disappearing, but we're going to carry on looking for the lone lioness.
Good afternoon, everybody. You might see a couple of spots there through the thickets. And that is a Tandi cat, beautiful queen of Djuma. Hello, everybody. She's just gone into the bushes. My name is Steve, joined by Mpho on camera. And, well, we're very excited to finally have you with us this afternoon. It has been a wonderful afternoon missioning around, but we've had some signal issues, or should I say technical issues. Tandi is in the drainage here. You might have just got a spot of her. She has been on the move. And hopefully we can actually show you that there is indeed a leopard here. Gosh. Now, those of you who have been watching the show for a while will remember I had Tingana killing a warthog in a termite mound on that side. We've had Hosana in this drainage line. We've had Tandi in this drainage line. I'm just going to tell Mike, because he's on the other side. But it's very busy on the radio with the wild dogs who have just started moving. Yeah, Mike, I've lost a visual. She just went into the drainage here, so I can't see her, but I'm sure she's going to come out that side. Mike might have her over there. Maybe not. Okay, so she just went in here. This is leopard habitat of note. You can imagine trying to find them at this time of year in this green. You might have her about here. I can't see her. Lovely afternoon. Lovely afternoon. And we're going to do our best to try and show you that we did indeed find a leopard.
Well, it looks like I found my matriarch. Here she is. You can tell she is bigger. Her tusker is not as big, but at her size, I definitely am sure she is the matriarch of this beautiful herd. Now we're on infrared. It allows us to, attract more light so that we can see these beautiful animals in their surroundings without disturbing them. They're quite very spaced out. Our elephants here, which means they are at peace. Remember, elephants eat all the time throughout the day. Almost 20 hours of their life is spent, eating, consuming about a quarter of a ton of food and consuming a lot of water. When it's wet like this, they don't eat as much because to drink as much because they are already eating lots of food with water, I mean grass. Yeah, this little guy, doesn't know what the future holds for an elephant, and all he's doing right now is just being very playful. As you can see, yeah, he's just having fun. Yeah, mommy, I had a human being talk, and that's why I came. Maybe that's what he said, or that's what she said. But, you know, unlike the other herds that I've been seeing, this one lacks many calves. I'm not complaining. One is such a great sight to see. The opening of the ears means that it's alerted, it's alarmed by something, and usually, you know, it's ready to attack. But also, I think, you know, he's very excited to understand what all those ears are for. You know, I don't think it knows. Okay, another round he's making. Yeah, looks like it's making another round to go see another maybe auntie or vroom, vroom. Yeah, go see auntie. Okay, arrive, stop, talk a little bit maybe, and then come back. Well, I'm sure you're all wondering what happened to Jasiri, but Jasiri is doing very, very well. The next round you see him, we might show him to you, because I think he's due for a treatment, and the rangers have advised us that they will invite us, or once we see it, we'll invite, you know, we'll get to talk to them, and when it happens, we might be able to show you when he's treated for the last time. But he's doing very, very well. I saw him about 2 days ago in thick thickets with a very big herd. Actually, it is in that direction that we're looking at, and he's doing very, very well. So nothing to worry, nothing to panic. We'll be able, not in very long time, we'll be able to share him with you. But back to our elephants here. Looks like they're heading out into the plains. Where is our little guy? Do we see him? Yes, I think that's him over there to the right. Or is it this one here? Yeah, when they're young, they're actually very, very playful elephants. You just can park there and just observe them and watch them for hours, especially when they have young ones, because they're very, very playful. If there is water, they'll wallow through the mud on top of themselves, push one another, climb on one another. You know, sometimes gets very slippery. They can't get out of the mud, and then they'll, you know, trumpet asking for help, you know, or backup. Then, you know, an auntie will come help. You know, it's actually very, very interesting to see the little ones play, and always very exciting. Here we have another big matriarch. Looks like she got some tasks. No tasks. Yes, no tasks. Well, in recent years, looks like it's a small one or none at all. No task. It has been said that elephants have came to understand that tasks became a threat to their lives, and so there are herds that actually don't grow tasks anymore, because they know without tasks they have a higher percentage of survival rate. And so one of them could be this one we're looking at here. Of course, it's a disadvantage because they cannot, like a debark trees, they cannot dig for salts on the ground. So it's a disadvantage, but still she is a very good size. Okay, let's find out what's happening somewhere else with one of my colleagues.
Welcome back, everyone. You've joined us just in time. This little female cheetah cub has decided that it's time to start a game. And she's busy pouncing around on what appears to be an old white rhino midden. I don't know what got into her. Suddenly she got a bee in her bonnet or something. She just stood up and she started twitching her tail like that. And look at her now, how she's pouncing around in the dung. It might be that there's some little insects inside there. There's no fresh dung there, so I don't think there's any dung beetles. Oh yeah, the game is starting. This is just what we were hoping for, everyone. For the cubs to start playing. She's going back to the pile of dung. Busy going through it with her paws. And lying down, But look at how she's got that little tail tip twitching, like she's up to no good. She's looking around, just like a playful puppy or a playful kitten. And her brother on the left also, he's also starting to use his paw to paw little pieces of dung. But I think the moment is over for him. He's going back to mom. No, you're not, says his sister. He's obviously desperate to play, desperate to burn off some energy. Oh, look at those claws, my word. But still, that dung seems to be getting her attention. She's gone straight back there. She's going to a pile. There's some more rhino dung in front there. Obviously not as exciting as the original pile, because she's now back into it. Just doing short little sprints, little bursts. And she's now, looks like she's now got a piece of dung in her mouth. Oh no, she's dropped it now. I was going to say she might play, see if she can play keep away or something. Keeping her little piece of dung away from her brother. Look at how they're wrestling with each other. His legs going everywhere. And it looks like he's laying down on top of her. He's basically pinning her to the ground. She can't go anywhere. Using his heavier body mass. Like big brother bullying little sister. Although they are technically the same age. Look how he's biting her back leg and now she's biting him back. This is hysterical. Ooh. Looked like she was getting a little bit sore there. She started trying a bit more desperately to get rid of him. Coming straight back out of that thicket. Back to her pile of dung. Let's see what she does this time. Lying down. There's a little herb there that she was smelling. I wonder if there's maybe some interesting smells that are getting her worked up. Ah, Laura Moore, you're saying they're so agile. It's incredible, isn't it, Laura Moore, just how quickly they can run and how quickly they can turn that speed on from standing to running very quickly. Of course, those long tails whipping around, helping them to steer. Those long, spindly legs. I've just been saying as well, we've obviously been following, as I was saying earlier, for those of you that have been watching for quite a while now, you would have remembered us spending quite a bit of time with these two young cheetah and their mother. And now, they're really starting to look like, there they go again, they're really starting to look like adult cheetah. They're getting the same body proportions as their mother. Those legs are getting long and skinny and their bodies taking on that proper greyhound shape. They're becoming a bit more proportioned, especially with those long legs. The bouts of play is still quite short for now. That one standing up, the young male, looks like that's standing up there. Yeah, his belly still has a little bit of food in it, so it might be that he's not quite empty-bellied enough yet just to fully commit to a big game. And back to wrestling again. See how they often go for each other's necks, and they won't be biting each other as hard as they can. It'll be more about just practicing that positioning of their jaws around the neck, around the throat that they'll use on prey animals when they're a little bit older. Things like impalas and inyala. Shame, this poor little female keeps inviting a game from her brother, and then all he does is he plays with her for a bit, and then he just wants to go and lie next to mom again. And then she gets impatient, like she just did now, and goes and jumps on him and says, "Come on, I invited you for some play. Come and play with me. Stop being boring." Leopard lover, you're asking how long cheetah siblings will stay together. Leopard lover, it will depend on if they're males, females. So, for example, if it's two males leopard lover, they'll stay together for life. Just like with lions, they'll form a coalition. And they will, assuming they both survive, they'll stay together for their entire lives. But with a male and female like this, they will probably stay together just for a couple of months. Once they leave mom, probably at around 18 months on average, it'll be a couple of months that they'll stay together. But then when the young female starts seeking out a mate, when she starts to come into estrus or starts to get ready to mate, then they'll go their separate ways. Maybe even a few weeks before that. But yeah, they'll still, for a couple of months at least, after they leave mom, they'll rely on each other to help catch food, help get enough to eat, to keep each other company, and I suppose also keep each other safe. 2 sets of ears, 2 sets of eyes, and 2 noses are better than 1. They'll be able to alert each other to the presence of danger. It's been an amazing journey so far with these youngsters. Over, like I said, they're coming up to about 11 months or so now. And it'll be interesting to see what the next couple of weeks and then months hold for them. But I think that was just what we were hoping for, to get to see that bout of play. But now that they've settled again, I don't think this mother cheetah is going to move too far from here. She'll probably stay here in the open clearing with her youngsters to rest for the evening. So Gert and I are going to leave them, and we're going to go see if we can find some rhinos before the sun sets.
Well, we're with the dogs. Unfortunately, the dogs have gone in 400 directions and have crossed into about 5 different properties, and so it's been absolute pandemonium to try and keep up with these guys. But luckily, we've managed to kind of find 2 of them that are at One-Eyed Pan inside Simbambili at the moment. So they look like they're still hunting, so it looks like they're moving quite a lot, and, well, keeping up with them is going to be a whole nother game altogether. But they are on the hunt, which is good. So the patience and perseverance to sit with them this afternoon has paid off. I'm just hoping that we can get the rest of them. Just trying to think what our best route through here is. The problem with these guys is they just cover ground so much faster than a vehicle can get through. I can still see them. Let's just go around. I think the rest of them are on this other road here. I think they're just trying to find each other at the moment. I'm actually going to go towards this dog while the others go around so that we can all kind of keep view of where they are. This is the chaos that happens with dogs, and so one has to hold on tight when trying to follow them, because you're generally off-roading at a much faster rate than you normally would, and that means that obstructions and things become a problem. Now, I saw one dog here. Where it's gone? There they are on the right-hand side. So we'll try and sneak through this little section. The problem also is that the grass is growing and there's stumps all over this area. This is an area that during the drought was heavily impacted by elephants due to the fact that there's a pan close by. And so lots of fallen over trees. Here we go, just in front of us. Okay, so we've got one dog in front of us, which is at least a treat, but there you can see Sunset Wild Dog on the hunt. Hopefully they'll be successful and we'll be able to kind of catch up with them, but in the meantime we're going to try and find the rest of the dogs.
Well, I haven't gone very far, still at my area, but looks now like they've had a discussion and everybody's come closer to the matriarch. Maybe it's time to move on. The little guy has been put in the middle or so. Yeah, the matriarch is the one coming out there now. No, I don't think so. I think she's the one closer to us. Very short tusks. It is not always that you can judge the age of an elephant by the tusks, but the body, but the combination of all things, the skin, the size, the temples, and the tusk can sometimes help you find out who is the oldest when they're together like this. Here it looks like they are on a mission. They're eating a particular plant, not grass, as they move on. They're slightly moving faster than when I saw them. Maybe they want to get out of this tall grass for the little guy. I feel sorry for him because he's all by himself. There's no other one the same age. Usually they are very playful. There is another one, but I don't know if it's from the same herd, but it's quite far to the left and out. Could be a different herd, that one there, because they're not close to one another. Yeah, it's quite cool right now, getting chilly, and the temperature is dropping faster and faster. Sorry, I understood the name Corey, but I didn't get the question. Could you rephrase it again, please? No, unfortunately, I understood. Do they recognize? And then the rest I couldn't hear. Sorry. I couldn't hear anything else. But yeah. No, cannot hear anything. Sorry. Yeah, looks like they are on a mission now. They are moving much faster. It's still drizzling slightly, not very much. Usually it's very pleasant for the older ones, but the young one, I don't think it likes it. Maybe it's the first time it's been rained on. Yeah, it looks like the trunk is starting to work. Look at that. It's folding it. Speaking something. Look at that. Yeah, trying to get something, but not getting anything. Yeah, trying. Might get something. Yeah, this is how they start. Usually, it's a useless thing in front of their head, but after a while, it becomes very, very useful once they learn. But you can tell this guy is really trying. Yeah. Okay, I'll let this elephant continue on. Maybe they have something they want to, somewhere they want to get to. I'll let them do that. And also I'll continue, see if I can get back to my two male lions, see if they're out in the open.
Welcome back, and finally we are able to show you the Queen of Djuma. Here she is, everybody. She is giving us a little bit of a run around. Up and down. And when we first found her, she was actually stalking a duiker. We saw her from the road. She tried to get the duiker, but she missed. But the way she... Oh.
Yeah, we got further at
Not happy. Let's quickly go over to Tswalu.
Alrighty guys, so for those of you who were with us this morning as well, I'm going to show you now the perfect example of, so we were looking at Cape Eland, but the perfect example of the differences between when we had that single male eland this morning and now where they form these bachelor groups, just like the buffalo do. The small difference between the eland and the buffalo is you'll find that there's young bulls and old bulls in this bachelor group. Whereas with the buffalo, you typically find it's mostly the older males that form those bachelor herds. But yeah, we've got a couple of younger individuals in the group, and then there's one big old boy. He's just behind the bushes now, and then a couple that's actually quite close to going into their prime, I suppose. Or I feel like it. You know, when they start getting that grey-blue coloration around the neck, that's typically when they start maturing properly. And that's when they are going to be the very attractive boys for the ladies. Yeah. Quickly over to Juma, guys.
Well, we did have a visual of Insele, but she's now gone, unfortunately. She's crossed into Arathusa. She was trailing these wild dogs, but we can't follow her any further. I'm going to try to see if I can get you a view. We tried for a while to keep her, but she's just crossed Triple M. There she is there. Let's go forward. It'll be a long distance. No, there's no ways. She's gone way too far in now. To be able to see her. We, like I say, tried to get you here as quick as possible, but she's trailing the dogs. Unfortunately, the dogs ran south chasing something into Arathusa from Simambili, so we can't follow any further, and she's now running in that same direction as well. But yeah, that's that, I'm afraid, so we'll try and go and see what else we can find.
Well, you're with Tandy, and she's looking like she's about to jump on something. Oh! I'm not sure what she looked at. I can still see her. She's a little bit more to the right there. Whatever it was, I think it might have been a mongoose or a bird, but she missed. Did you see her body was taut? She was twitching. She was twitching. Here she comes. Now, those of you who've never met the Queen of Juma, where have you been? Here she is. Tandy, the Queen. Isn't she gorgeous? There she is. She's going to rub her face in a hairy guarri. Hello. She's going to urinate on it as well. And then she's going to walk right past me over here. Hello, Tandy. Isn't she a pretty cat? Now, she's a small cat. I'm surprised because she was found earlier, and someone who found her initially, sorry about the aerial, let me just reverse back. Mike, she's going straight towards the drainage, towards my right. Thought they'd actually found a male leopard, which is quite surprising, I think, to think she's a male, because she's not a very big cat. She's a small leopard. When you see her, you think immediately, you see the very elegant neck and the body size. You know, when you see a male and a female next to each other, it's very noticeable. Very, very noticeable. Beautiful Tandy. Let's try and get in front of you again. No, we're just going to go this way. She's going to go to this jackleberry tree and probably give it a little bit of a rub and a scent mark. Wonderful tree. There it is. Very nice fluted trunk. Actually quite nice because you could pick a spot on that tree, and when she walks away, you can then go and measure that spot. And then you could go, ooh, this is how tall she is. Now she's going straight south. Let's move again towards Twin Dams. She is all over the place. This is how Tandy hunts duiker. This is her strategy for small antelope. Just going to stop right there, Paul. Now, sorry, Donovan, the comms broke up there, but I think Donovan said, how long can they go without eating? I think that's what he said. They can generally go for about 2 weeks. But they don't. They don't generally go longer. After 2 weeks, they start to show signs of starvation. And then longer than that, then they start to lose a lot of condition. Start to lose lots and lots of condition. And then their hunger actually gets very, very overwhelming. And generally, that's what happens to injured or sick individuals. But leopards in good condition generally will feed every day or so. Sometimes they can miss it a couple of days, but that's just to do with the elusiveness of the prey. And now she's decided she's going to hide right inside that bush. Now, can you spot the leopard? I'm just going to let Mike know because he's trying to find her. Okay. I don't think we're going to get a better view of her right now unless she moves out. She's becoming one with her prey, everybody. This is what duikers do. They hide in the thickets. And so we're going to try get you a better view, but for now, this is what we've got.
Well, something that normally follows leopards around are hyenas, and we have got one very fluffy hyena just sitting on the road. Sebastian and I keep bumping into them like you have absolutely no idea. Hello, little one. I think it's the same one we keep seeing. We did see another one this morning, though. It was very light in colour. It looked like it had either put lemon juice over its coat and stood out in the sun, or it fell in a bath of bleach. I wasn't quite sure which one. Of course, either could happen out here in the bush. No, I'm just joking. But anyways, this little one's quite curious, just out on the road, listening. Where's your family? Why are you on your own? I mean, we know that, of course, when they get a little bit older, they become quite brave and they wander around and do all sorts of things. You can see it listening to something now, and its nose seems to be wiggling a bit too. Something must have excited it. What's down there? I wish I could just have their hearing capabilities and their sense of smell just for one day, so I could get some kind of idea of how extreme their scent must be. There's also a go-away bird that's been whining, but it sounded like it was just trying to get frisky with another go-away bird. So we haven't paid it too much attention, but occasionally I am looking over my shoulder just to make sure that a leopard or a lion doesn't come creeping over the rocks. It would be quite nice if that would happen. I'd quite enjoy that. But for now, we'll just sit and enjoy this little hyena. Yes, something biting you. Lots of flies around. So all the animals seem to be quite annoyed. Little one, you're going to learn how sensitive your ears are. Always the flies always tend to bite them around their ears. I suppose there's quite a bit of skin that's exposed. That fluffy coat does protect them. I'm now just also listening to a white-browed scrub robin that's not happy either. It's letting off an alarm call. I wonder if something has actually just maybe snuck behind us. It wouldn't be the first time that that's happened. Can't hear any vervet monkeys or anything like that. Or baboons alarming. And look how it's tucked its little feet just underneath its bottom. You're very cute. I don't imagine that it would be very comfortable, though, laying on that road with all the gravel. Go away, bird. See, the problem is that I can't get to the other side of this little eastern rocky ridge. It's a problem, so I can't see what's down below it. It doesn't matter how I position the vehicle. So if there is something around here, I just have to wait for it to show itself. I'm sorry if I'm just turning so the camera might bounce around a little bit. I can't see anything behind me. But it is quite crazy to see how animals can literally either just slink past you, or you can just drive right past them as if they weren't even there. I know myself and Tristan have done that a few times. He's done it with a lion, and I've definitely done it with more than one leopard, so memories. The fact that this little one keeps its head up. But I think if you're on your own and you're this young, you haven't got much experience, rather be cautious. Otherwise, if a lion or a leopard were to come through, I don't think that they would entertain such a young hyena. It would definitely find itself in a... I'm so tempted to drive up it. That's how I'm going to get stuck and break the vehicle. I won't be doing that on a Saturday because our mechanic's not here. Ha! Otherwise, I might have taken the risk. Seb loves it when I go bounding about.
Oh, yeah.
Come, little one. Take us on an adventure, seeing as though you've just mentioned that, Seb. I'd like to go walk about with a hyena and follow it. Although normally the next step from here is down towards the eco-training camp, so... And it's normally about this time too. Although I think I've mentioned it to you, and Mike has probably told you as well, we put an electric fence up now around the kitchen. There's something there. Now the Franklins are also shouting. So something is moving from this rocky outcrop down towards the dam. Ariel, yes, hyenas are precocial. Okay, so if you don't understand the difference between altricial and precocial, we would normally use this term, it pops up mainly when we talk about birds. So altricial essentially means that the bird has got on it, its eyes are closed, it's completely defenseless, and it depends on the adults. And then we use the word precocial normally to describe birds that when they have hatched, have got some feathers on them, their eyes are open and they're able to run around and catch some insects. So now the interesting thing about hyena in comparison to other predators is that they are born with their eyes open and they also have a set of teeth, which is quite cool. When you look at lions and leopards, for example, they have their eyes closed and they're only open anywhere from 10 days to 14 days, and their teeth start developing obviously at a later stage too, and they're completely helpless, and again they rely heavily on the adults. So hyenas they're born to be successful, and they are successful. It's really sad that all these years that they've been tainted with scavengers and mean, nasty creatures. They are just so fit to survive, and they'll do whatever that needs to be done. Although most animals will do whatever needs to be done to survive, you know. That natural instinct kicks in. Yes, little one. I'm also curious about those birds that are alarming down below us. I just can't see. I don't know if it's that lioness. I reckon it might actually be a leopard. I mean, the leopards here are notorious for sitting up on this eastern rocky ridge. Like I said, there's unfortunately no road yet. There was much talk about putting one on the northern side of the ridge, just below, just a little 2-track, just that we could scan it. Because imagine first thing in the morning, especially on those winter days when it's freezing, those rocks warm up quite nicely. And in these low-lying valleys, it gets quite chilly. And that's exactly where you'd find the leopards. It's just sitting on a bit of a ledge, trying to warm up in the sun. But maybe this hyena's got the right idea this evening. Going to hang around here and see if it can't maybe scavenge something. It's maybe old enough, or perhaps it's just going to wait for Mum to come and get it.
So as you guys just heard, you know, the hyenas, seems like they were sleeping or lying on the road trying to get warm. And the lions have done a pretty similar thing, just in the fact that they have gone out into the open. So you can see here they're lying on this patch of greenery in the open, just trying to soak up the last few rays of the sun. They're trying to get as much warmth as they can. Potentially going to be a very cold night. So they thought, let's soak up what little bit of sun is left by sleeping out in the open. But they haven't moved very far. And you see this lioness here, very interested in what's happening behind her, because that is the road that heads towards sort of Orpin Camp. And now that the park is closing, everyone's driving to make it to the gate in time. So she's just curious as to what's happening behind her, and it attracts attention every now and then. But the rest of them, she got up earlier, this one, and she just stared at the sunset, which is happening off in front of us, over the Drakensberg Mountains. And she was just staring at that, and it was actually beautiful light. So Odie's going to show you. There it is. It's a stunning, stunning sun. That's the Drakensberg mountain range, the sort of northern edge of it. And if you wait another maybe 5 minutes, it is going to be stunning. We had the most beautiful light on the lions now, and you couldn't get a more perfect sort of ending to your Saturday than the Birmingham Pride on a mound in the sunset over the Drakensberg Mountains. It is just going to be incredible, and we are probably going to spend the rest of the day here just sitting, watching, waiting. I'm hoping, because the Pride has split up, I'm hoping that there might be a bit of vocalization, a bit of roaring, so we're going to just stand by here and see if anything happens.
Well, we are currently sitting, waiting to see what happens on the main road. We're just trying to see if the dogs or Nsele comes back, and so we thought we'd gaze upon a sunset for now, but there's a vehicle that's going to come past us now, so let me just move out the way quickly for them. They're going to be very kind to us and go around. Thanks, Ali. So basically what we're doing is we're just sitting waiting to see if either of them pop out. Essentially what happened is the dogs kind of ran sort of southwards and Sele has come this way, and so what I'm hoping is one or the other bumps into each other and pushes them, I don't know, maybe back into a place where we can see them. So it was a worthwhile thing just to watch the sunset, but unfortunately the sun is also going down on us right now, so we're having a multiple kind of disappearing act at this stage. The interesting thing though is I can hear the vehicles very close to where I am off-roading, so I suspect that one or other of these two predators is very close by, so hopefully we'll get them coming out. In the meantime though, it's always nice to watch the sun go down.
We are just watching the end of the sunset, and it has been quite spectacular. Now you'll be able to see how quickly the sun does actually disappear. But how beautiful is that? The sky a little bit hazy, a couple cloud, a little bit of cloud cover, and it is gone. But it's lighting up that cloud cover. I think the perfect sunset has to have clouds, because that's what captures the colors, keeps the sky nice and orange or red. You can see that cloud bank in the distance there, and that's all going to start turning a sort of reddy pinky color. And hopefully these lions will appreciate the beauty by roaring for us. That would be the most ideal. Oh, there you see a little bit of yawning happening. A little bit of yawning. Hopefully some grooming happening soon, which will be good signs for us, you know. There we go. Okay, so me and Owen were counting, and we were like, we're pretty sure this morning we counted at least 11 or 12, but now we can only count 10. And I just saw a tail flick in the grass, so we didn't count incorrectly. But you just saw that yawn from this young female. As we were saying earlier, yawning, grooming, it's all signs of activity. There's a very good chance that female, she might get up, maybe walk up to some of the other lions, bump heads with them, just a little greeting, or she might just not listen to me at all and go to sleep. The other option. But they're going to start doing this. There's going to be grooming. They're going to groom each other. They're going to greet each other again. You know, they spent the day together, yes, but they've just been sleeping. Should start to do that. She almost moved. You can see, I don't know if you can see in the grass around this female's head. Grass is moving, a bit of a breeze, so she's facing into that breeze, just smelling anything that's coming down from there, which is good because the direction she's facing is where sort of Ngala is. Everything on her right is Ngala. So hopefully, we're hoping they're going to keep heading in this direction back into this sort of central part. For us, you can see there, the little white female's grooming the one right at the back just before the grass, doing a little bit of grooming. Up, head down again. The white female, always the active one. Just go to the male at the back. So there's two males are fighting at the back. They're just giving each other fighting over there. You can see a little bit of sibling bonding there, always a bit of sibling rivalry. While they do that, we've got a question from Debbie. Debbie wants to know how old these white lions are. Debbie, I'll get your question now. You see, both of them males. And that's why, you see how close they were like that? I think he's going to go with them. But Debbie, your question, how old are the white ones? So the white male is just over 2 years now. He's about 2 years and 2 months. And that's the head that you can see just lolling over there. And then the white female, the one that they head up, you can see her ears twitching. She is about 6 months younger than her older brother there. So she is, just over a year and a half now. So she's part of the second youngest litter. So she being just over a year and a half. Then we got those little cubs that are, maybe 6 months now. I haven't seen them since I've been back, but I think they're about 6 months now. And then the white male and some of his brothers are the oldest, being just over 2 years, 2 months. I was actually talking to Rowan this morning, about the potential coalition that could form between these 3 young males and then the sub-adult. That beautiful guy over there that you can see. What the chances were, because he's now pushing just over 4 years old. So I think he might leave or get kicked out. And I think those younger ones might leave with them. It'll be early for them, but they might go with them. If he can hold out another sort of 4 or 5 months, in those younger white male, he'll be just over 2.5. And that would be an okay time for them to leave. If they can all leave together, that would be a pretty good timing for them. Be a bit early, but he's late, so average it out into the normal expected range for males to leave a bride. You can see here, the one on the right-hand side, the female lying facing away from us, that one there. So that's the lead female. And so she's here, and then one of her sort of younger daughters is here, but her sister's missing. She's one of the few lions that is missing. But we're going to stick around here, see what happens. Welcome back to And Beyond Pinda. Gert and I have been checking through some open areas, trying to see if we can find any sign of some white rhinos that might be coming out into the open clearings to graze in the evening light. We haven't managed to find a rhino, but have a look in the middle of your screen there. Can you see that black and white line atop a little brown body? It's a crowned lapwing, and beneath that crowned lapwing are 2 adorable, fluffy chicks that we've been watching running around this clearing. Possibly the mother, possibly the father, the one that's there standing there, busy sheltering them from this chilly wind. And they've been moving around, feeding quite a bit. Now, this lapwing's mate is not too far away, and it looks like it's still busy foraging, running around looking for termites and other invertebrates. And I'm really hoping that while we sit here, that one of those chicks just pops their head out from underneath mum or dad's wing, because they are absolutely adorable. If they don't, though, I'll have to show you in the bird book. And now these little chicks are so tiny, so small, they can't be more than a few weeks old. They're not quite newly hatched, because I have seen them in this area already about 2 weeks ago. But they are still very, very, very cute. And look at how that adult now is just sitting dead still. And if you were to be walking past here, and you weren't looking carefully, you would very easily overlook that lapwing sitting in the grass there. Of course, that's why she's sitting so still. She's not wanting to, or that's why it is sitting so still, not wanting to attract any attention to itself that may endanger her or her chicks' lives.
And just like those cheetah that were resting in that open clearing for the night, looks like this crowned lapwing is doing the same, right in the middle of this open grassland. There we go, she's moving around a bit. I'm really hoping that one of those little chicks just pops out. See how attentive the adult is, looking around, keeping an eye on us, even though we are parked quite far away from her. So we're definitely no immediate threat to her. She's not giving any alarm calls, any warning calls. Every now and then you might be able to hear a bit of a from its mate. Tyler, you're saying that this bird is so well camouflaged? Absolutely, Tyler. And it's, like I said, using its camouflage and just sitting still to help it to avoid detection. There's its mate. See it standing there on the left. Still moving around, busy feeding. See how it walks and then stops? Just letting or giving its eyes a chance to scan the ground for any signs of prey. But it seems like whichever parent is sitting on the youngsters is not going to move anytime soon. So I'll just quickly show you in the bird book what it looks like, because they are absolutely adorable. Have a look over there. There is the adult bird, and then over here where my thumb is the little chick. But let's quickly send you across to the Masai Mara. Apparently there's something very exciting going on.
Well, here we have something quite different today. I have a white-tailed mongoose, and looks like it's very busy. Did you catch something? Maybe. Yeah. White-tailed mongoose is got something. Yeah, definitely it got something. Could have been a dung beetle. They are strictly nocturnal, only comes out at night and forages using its heightened sense of smell and sight. It's hunting for mice and snakes. It's going out of our sight again, so I'm going to try and reposition. I don't know if we'll be able to find it again, but it is somewhere here. Can you find it, Bungay? I don't know if we have it. Once again, do we have it? It's actually grayish black with a very pronounced white tip of the tail. It's just hidden somewhere there. It's called white-tailed mongoose. It's very solitary, hangs around all by itself, unlike all the other diurnal nocturnal mongooses. It hangs around alone. They burrow during the day, hiding, the whole day, coming out only just after dark to try and find some grubs. I don't know where he has hidden to. I don't see him anymore. So it means that he's out of our reach. But that was a very, very good find. So I think what I'm going to do is continue on. It's been raining and most of the animals have been hiding. That was a very, very good find. I haven't seen one in quite a while. This is a mongoose that you only see at night. Very much like the other mongooses, this one doesn't depend on eating snakes like the other ones. This one feeds on small grubs, spiders, dung beetles, chicks from other, birds. Yeah, that's what it feeds on, but only seen at night. I'm going to continue on. Let me take you to another live safari vehicle as I try and find something else. Hopefully I can find another nocturnal animal for you guys, because it's very, very dark.
Hey everybody, where Tandy has finally stopped moving and she's crawled into this little bush, and there she is. There she is. She's moving a little bit. So Ribbon was following her a little while ago. Ribbon's the new matriarch of the Djuma clan. She picked up on her scent. And she basically did an entire big loop around this bush but couldn't find her. That's how we feel sometimes. We're trying to find leopards. It just goes to show you how good they are at hiding. Now, if Paul just pulls the camera back a little bit there, see if you can keep your eyes on her, everybody. See if you can keep your eyes on her. Now you know where she is and she's breathing. You can see movement. Keep your eyes. Keep your eyes. No ways. Hey? If you're driving past, would you see that? And we wonder, and we talk about it all the time, how many of these animals do we drive past? Plenty, I'm sure. That's not necessarily camouflage right now. I mean, I could lie in there and I'd be invisible. It's the length of the grass which makes it very difficult this time of year. Many animals are able to conceal themselves now. That's why many animals will breed this time of year. It's much easier to conceal. But the leopard is able to hide in the smallest and most sort of unconcealing environment. Amazing how sometimes they can just vanish in the shortest grass. Or it's really quite something to behold. And they know it. They know that they're nearly invisible, practically invisible. Distant hyena calling. Definitely the seasons are changing. If you see the grass, length of the grass there, that is the type of some of the grasses the weavers will use for their nesting, the weaving. And they need to be nice long strips that they'll strip and make into those beautiful cords. So they weave in. And we also know the seasons are changing when it's already dark in the Mara and our sun has only just set. The Mara has a pretty standard sunrise-sunset timetable, being closer to the equator than we do. We have a very seasonal summer and winter time with the darkness, all because the orientation is much further down on the continent. Ooh, I can hear an ashy flycatcher. Times like this, many of you know I like to do some birding when our cats are very flat. I'll try to play an ashy flycatcher for you. It's a very cool bird. I would listen to my hat. Very characteristic call. They love it down here in these riverine areas. Also had a striped kingfisher calling just now, which is quite nice. Haven't heard one this season yet. I'll play that one for you as well if you're willing to listen.
So, okay guys, I think it's established that this is either the bravest lion on Tswalu for the day, because he wants to, or he's the only one that's mastering the sun, or the laziest one for the day. But yeah, we did a little loop, tried to see if we could pick up on other tracks of other lions. I think they are tucked in to the deepest, darkest bush that they could find. And as you can see, this guy is out for the count. Not that I blame him though, you know, having a view that you just saw right now, I'd also fall asleep like that. Just lovely. I think that lip opening up like that, he might actually start drooling as soon if he continues sleeping as fast as he is. You can still see a little bit of pink there on the nose, and it's not because of him being a young cat. You know, sometimes they just on the nose, it could be scars that there's now, you know, new growth or over the years scars that has healed, and the pigmentation on the nose itself there where the scars are just not as great anymore. I think it's rather that though. But now you can also see the scars really nicely, guys, now that we zoomed in on him like that. Big scars, lots of stories that this guy can tell around the campfire. And I don't think his opponents are still with us to tell the same stories.
We've managed to luckily get a view of Insele again. She's just popped out on the other side of the dog, so we have to be patient and just wait. So she's moving deeper into Simambili, but luckily we've at least got a visual of her, which is good. So she's striding away, and you can see she's quite hungry, which is why she'll often kind of follow behind the dogs. You often find that they are in a situation where when they're hungry like this, they'll try and see if the dogs leave any scraps behind, be able to grab it, and then quickly jump up a tree. You see Tandi do it often. I've seen Tingana and Mvula, multiple different males try this before as well. But what's interesting is she's now marching straight back to where her normal kind of territory is, as opposed to where she's been for the last 3 months, mating with Tingana. So it's really weird that she's moving such big distances. We're probably about 15 kilometers from where she was last seen with Tingana. So it's a long way away from where she has been hanging out. So, it's pretty interesting to see that things are changing in her world, and I'm not sure why she's now all of a sudden this side. But we'll try and keep up with her. Luckily, like I say, she's moving past the sort of dogs and the chaos of the vehicles there. So hopefully we'll be able to kind of keep up with her, which will be nice. She's always been one of the leopards that I've enjoyed. Her obviously comes from a completely different side to the Karula lineage. So she comes from Salahesh, which I suppose is not completely different. If you go way back, they're actually related, but they're not the same kind of mother lineage, like I say. So it's Insele, and Salahesh is kind of the mother of Insele, whereas obviously we know Safari, Karula, that lineage there. But there she goes, just walking down the road. I'm so glad we managed to get her on screen for you. I didn't think we were going to. It's been an absolutely epic, chaotic afternoon. So we'll try to keep up with her again. We'll give this other vehicle a chance, and we'll see where she ends up.
Welcome back, and you've just missed it, but thankfully it was in the thickets. I couldn't see it either. Tandi was eating some grass, and she just coughed up a fur ball, so we didn't see it, thank goodness. But well done, Tristan. Of course, Tristan found another leopard. That's what he does, everybody. And Tandi has decided she's had enough of a nap, and it's time to get up and move. Now, if we're lucky, she's going to drink. She's walking directly towards Twin Dams. But she has come up and down this area lately, towards Little Gowrie. See the crickets. I was hoping she was maybe going to lead us to her cub. That's who I'm really been hoping to see. Let me move up there and get a view of her behind that bush. She sits like such a lady, isn't she? Well, she's moving. She moves. We might get her drinking, or she might just walk directly south. Go into Little Gowrie. You never know. It's all about what is on the mind, what is the most important thing right now. Water is in abundance. Oh, I can hear the Mozambican or square-tailed nightjar behind us. That churring sound. Sounds like a tractor almost. Marco, I don't know where you got the question from. Why are leopards nomadic? Leopards are actually extremely territorial. When they are young, they'll move around looking for a territory, and when they get too old to hold the territory, they can become nomadic. So that's the only time really nomads, like an old male leopard becomes a nomad when he's not fit enough or strong enough to hold his territory. But Thandi is by far a very territorial female and has been for many years. Let's have a listen. You can hear the square-tailed nightjar in my hat. It's a very cool sound of the night. Okay, so Thandi's decided she's not going to drink. She's going to cross the river to the other side, as is her wont. Down in the sand. Let's go out quickly. Now you can hear that fiery neck nightjar as well calling. Almost like that. Where's Paulie when you need him? Little Thandi girl. We're just going to lie in the sand. Is it nice and cool? I'm sure the sand is lovely and cool right now. It's going to leave such a lovely print. Ooh. She is going to leave such a lovely print in the sand tomorrow. It's the Mowati River. And what she's doing now is she's just listening. Waiting to see if there's anything moving around, and there's almost no wind at all, so she's going to have to rely on sight and sound.
Well, Sincere at the moment has taken a breather too, so you'll see there's going to be a spotlight going on and off. Obviously, we're in a sighting with guests at the moment, and so they're busy using their spotlight to see, unlike us who have infrared. A little bit more tricky for them to see in the dark. But she's just stopped at the moment. Seems like she's just listening. Every now and then she walks a little bit, stops, walks a little bit, stops. And she will be like this because of the fact that the dogs were nearby. And, well, she knows that is potentially dangerous for her. So she's going to just go slowly. She's going to listen. She doesn't obviously want to get caught out by the fact that there is potentially another predator that could potentially hurt her. So she'll always just kind of go slowly. Thank you, guys. And she'll just try and kind of pay attention to what's going on around her. It's interesting, like I say, though, that she's taking a very, 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 very different route to where she's. Oh, there's a hyena that's coming now. So we've got wild dogs behind us, leopard in front of us, and hyena to our left that's approaching. Now, which member, or which clan this could be is difficult. It should be EP clan where we are, but could possibly be one of the males as well. But you see how it's come in. It's probably noticed the leopard and thought, well, I'm just going to come and check if there's any sign of anything. It would have also heard the dogs. And so it's coming in just to kind of see if there's something on offer for it, much like Nsele did for herself. The dogs, though, are just stationary behind us. They didn't seem like they killed anything. Well, I don't think so. Although it did smell like it when I drove past them earlier. It smelled, that rumen smell was quite heavy in the air. So it's very possible that maybe... it's amazing. The radio channel on this side of the world is working for a change, which is very seldom the case in this area. And generally find it doesn't. Now watch what's going to happen here. You're going to see her disappear around the corner, and then you're going to see the hyena come in behind her. And this is what happens to leopards. Often when you trail a leopard in the morning, if you find their tracks, you find leopard track with hyena behind it. There we go. Look at that. Isn't that cool? What an epic sight to see two of Africa's iconic predators side by side. And you see how hyena's got its head down, sniffing, and it'll follow her exact route. You see how it's turning exactly where she went? Just goes to show you how sophisticated their sense of smell is. But what's going to happen is this hyena's going to work out very quickly that this leopard is just moving. It's not actually hunting, or it doesn't have food, and then we'll start to leave her alone, and she'll be able to do her own thing. And I wouldn't be surprised she's snarling a little bit and just telling the hyena, listen, back off. There's nothing here for you. And there we go. Hyena's worked out straight away that there's no need to worry. I'm going to just try keep up with the leopard because she can disappear quite quickly in all of this. I'm sure that hyena's going to accost the dogs instead now. I wouldn't be surprised we hear the squeals of a hyena being chased. Actually, this leopard has just gone stationary right here, which is good news. She's just lying down. So I'm going to try and get us into a position where we can see her. In the meantime, I'm going to try and not lose Theo off the back.
We are hoping for some of the same action that Tristan's got with the leopard at Djuma. And we've been sitting here, you can see there's a lot more, well, there's a bit more activity, a few more heads up as it's getting darker, as you saw with the leopardess. This is when they're active, they're moving. So we started to see a bit more from here. We've now got 1, 2, 3, 4 heads up. But as we've said before, this pride is notoriously lazy. Lions generally sleep, 16 hours a day. These ones push that boundary. They go sometimes 17, 18. I thought she was maybe raw a little bit there, but it was just the yawn. And you saw as she pushed her head forward. That's what they do when they're going to roar. They sort of push their head like that and just flex or contract their whole body, really push out that roar. But it's just the yawn, there comes another one. So she might get up soon. I mean, I said that with the last lioness. And my theories are just so off today. They're all just flopping down again. So it looks like they're going to stick to their lazy ways and not be too active. But, still really beautiful to see. Fantastic seeing the sunset here with them. I think it's been a fantastic day here in Ngala.
So, alrighty guys, we're still with this male lion. He is still looking very much in the same state as this set of horns is doing. Not looking like they're going to move much. But I just wanted to show you this. In the Kalahari, because we have the lack of moisture, this is a male kudu that was killed, by the way, but because we have the lack of moisture, we also have far lower numbers of decomposing bacteria and so on. So this particular set of horns has been lying here for, I want to say, almost a year now. and you can still see the hair and, little bits and pieces of what used to be meat around the head and then the spinal area. So just to give you an idea how dry it is out here, I mean, the sand around it also gives you an idea, but this in particular, no decay whatsoever yet. And this is also the piece of an animal that not even the hyenas really eat, because there's no real bone marrow. Maybe in the spine they'll go for that, but the horns and then the top part of the skull, typically you don't find them feeding on that. They'll chew on it because it's funny, but not eating it, because that's mostly solid bone. So you find that they rather leave that alone. Maybe a youngster will come and chew on the horn just because he's teething or something like that. But this is quite an often sighting around here in the Kalahari, finding sets of horns just to, not being eaten or so on, and also not being decomposed. It takes quite a bit of time for them to do that. And yeah, like I said, very much the same as the lion is looking right now. But it has been wonderful to have you guys here with us. It is a beautiful afternoon. This temperature is, just getting to that point where it's actually quite nice. So it's unfortunate that we have to say goodbye already. But luckily, there's always the opportunity for you guys to come and join us tomorrow morning on channel 183 on DSTV, or if you want to follow us on YouTube or Twitter, you're welcome to. Remember to send us your questions using the hashtag WildEarth. And this guy is just sitting up to say goodbye. Like I said, guys, wonderful to have you live with us here in the African bush, coming from all the different locations in Southern Africa and East Africa. We'll see you again tomorrow morning, okay?
Hi, I'm Mike Anderson, and I come to you live every day from Eco Training Pridelands Conservancy in South Africa. The wild animal I think is most underrated. I think buffaloes are the most underrated. They're so tenacious and ferocious, and also very, very protective of each other, which I find incredible. Sometimes people think of the big five, they just think of lions and leopards and other big animals, but I think buffaloes are pretty underrated. Join me on my next adventure in the African wild on channel 183 on DSTV.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal